really knows who that is. It seemed to coincide with the news from both Wired magazine and I believe I'm confusing it with Gawker right now. Gizmodo, thank you. Gizmodo had come out with very lengthy articles with lots of supposed research and claims about who they believe Satoshi Nakamoto is. So whoever this person is, and this person that they are naming may not be Satoshi Nakamoto, but they make a persuasive sounding case, and it's way too detailed to read on the radio. But they basically accuse an Australian businessman and programmer, Craig Stephen Wright, of being Satoshi Nakamoto, actually being Satoshi in partnership with another man who died in 2013. So that Satoshi Nakamoto was two people, basically.
Yeah, it's a pseudonym.
Two or more.
Yeah, it's a pseudonym, so it could very well be that.
Right. And so these are very, very long pieces. They're very interesting, very detailed. Of course, not everybody is on board with it. Our friend Virgil from Truth Voice put out an article explaining in detail why he believes that this man, Craig Stephen Wright from Australia, is not Satoshi Nakamoto, which I haven't had a chance to even read through that. I haven't gotten through the full piece over at Gizmodo. I got through about maybe 2/3 or 3/4 of it last night. But it's like really detailed. They actually end up going to the guy's house and confronting his wife, and I mean, in sort of really unusual journalistic style, trying to uncover the truth here.
Well, I can see why these journalists really want to find out this information. Whoever gets it right is really going to make a name for themselves.
So a lot of what the evidence is, I think, is suspect because it comes from a hacker who I don't know if anybody knows who the hacker is. I don't know if that person's identity has been revealed at this point. But someone released information, alleged emails that come from this guy, Craig Stephen Wright. And some of the things in these alleged emails do suggest that he might be one of the people who is Satoshi Nakamoto. So, there is that. But it's also emails released by a hacker. So there's no reason why those can't be faked. There's no way to verify that these emails are actually the emails from Craig Stephen Wright and haven't been just completely fabricated by a very creative hacker. There's even an article out there that says that Craig Stephen Wright is the hacker who released his own emails. So, I mean, who knows what the truth is? I don't, and you probably don't, but...
How could he possibly be Satoshi Nakamoto when I am?
Yeah, I don't think you've ever programmed a thing in your life, including your VCR. Mark, so come on, nobody believes that.
The lights stop flashing.
Nobody believes that one. But here's a story from, actually, it's being reported by Vice. It's actually a Reuters story. Australian police have now raided the Sydney home and office on Wednesday of a man named by Wired magazine as the probable creator of Bitcoin. So whether or not Craig Stephen Wright is or is not Satoshi Nakamoto, apparently doesn't really matter to the Australian police, who it's actually like the tax department who's doing this. They're coming at this guy because, and they claim it doesn't have anything to do with the news that happened to come out the same day about this man. Oh, this is a total coincidence. We're raiding this man's house for tax purposes, which, of course, in the details of the emails that were released, there's something about this guy having a bunch of Bitcoin and like owning a Bitcoin in trust with another guy, the guy who died. And that there was something about, and I don't remember the details on this, but they were looking to get some sort of a bank account that they could use that was offshore. So like some kind of offshore bank in like a tax haven kind of place.
Okay.
So now you got the Australian government reading all this information about, oh, this man Satoshi Nakamoto, well, he must have a lot of Bitcoin. Oh, sure enough.
They certainly went through that article pretty quick.
So, sure enough, he's got a lot of Bitcoin here, and looks like he didn't report this on his taxes in the last 10 years. So we need to find out about this Bitcoin. So they've gone and raided his home as a result of this. So these journalists outing him for being Satoshi Nakamoto from emails that were supposed to be secret, private emails that he was sent, that he had in his email account purportedly. So presuming the emails are valid, presuming that he really is Satoshi Nakamoto, really doesn't even matter. If it's true enough that he has this Bitcoin, then the Australian government wants a piece of it. And they've now, they're attempting to ruin this man's life here. They've raided his home. You want to talk about a life-ruining thing that can happen to you? That's one of them.
Well, I know that it was a good idea for Satoshi Nakamoto to remain anonymous, and apparently, if this is Satoshi Nakamoto, either he released his own information or he didn't, and we don't know the answer to that. But I'm whoever it is, he's wishing that information hadn't been released at this point. If the real Satoshi Nakamoto is still out there, here's a little warning to you, pal. You better stay anonymous.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So let me tell you more about the raid. More than a dozen federal police officers entered a house registered on the electoral roll to Craig Stephen Wright, whom Wired outed as the likely real identity of Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonymous figure that first released Bitcoin's code in 2009. Locksmiths broke the door open to the property in a suburb of Sydney's North Shore. When asked what they were doing, one officer told a Reuters reporter they were, quote, clearing the house, unquote. A reporter who approached with an office listed as the location of two of Wright's registered businesses, De Morgan Limited and Pant Opticrypt Pty Limited, in another Sydney suburb was turned away by police, with one officer saying, quote, there's an operation going on at the moment. I can't answer any questions. Several police officers could be seen speaking with workers inside. So again, they raided his home and his businesses. The identity of Satoshi Nakamoto has long been a mystery that journalists and Bitcoin enthusiasts have tried to unravel. The police raids in Australia came hours after Wired magazine and technology website Gizmodo published articles saying their investigation showed Wright, an entrepreneur and academic, was most probably the secretive Bitcoin creator.
Well, it seems pretty obvious they're looking for his private keys, doesn't it? I mean, that's why they're going in there and keeping, this. Generally, they don't do these kind of raids for taxes, do they? It seems pretty serious. Three different
the IRS
locations
has its own police department.
It's true.
You probably just don't hear about those raids very often, but they do. I mean, they do probably occur. Wright is a chief executive of the Australian registered De Morgan Limited, which he describes on his LinkedIn page as a, quote, pre-IPO Australian listed company focused on alternative currency, unquote. The Australian Federal Police said in a statement that the officer's presence at his property is, quote, not associated with the media reporting overnight about Bitcoins, unquote. An AFP report referred all inquiries about the raids to the Australian Tax Office, AFP is the Australian Federal Police. It's also a press organization. Anyway, the Australian Tax Office, which said it could not comment on any individuals or entities' tax affairs due to legal confidentiality. Emails to various addresses listed for Wright did not receive a reply. Wired and Gizmodo investigations were based on leaked emails, documents, and web archives, including what was said to be a transcript between Wright and Australian tax officials. Wired said, quote, either Wright invented Bitcoin or he's a brilliant hoaxer who wants very badly for us to believe that he did. That is, invent Bitcoin. 855, 450 free. Was this guy really, or is this guy really, Satoshi Nakamoto? You're welcome to share your thoughts on that. Plus, are the ISIS people being funded and supplied by the U.S. government?
I have a 70-pound Royal Standard Poodle. Her name is Zelia. And 3 years ago, Zelia's ears were a mess. She would have sticky, gooey, smelly discharge in her ears. We took Zelia to the vet 7 times, of $150 every time. The vet offered no success at all. My wife and I are driving, and we hear some people on the radio saying DINOVITE.
859-428-1000. The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
6 days after I started feeding her Dinovite, my dog's ear problems were cured. My dog no longer yelps. She can be petted without pain, and it's because Dinovite made our dog healthy again.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined. from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateurs, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG Libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us here toll free. Our number is 855-450-FREE. Is Craig Wright Satoshi Nakamoto? Truthvoice.com says he's not. But Wired Magazine and Gizmodo are claiming that they believe that he might very well be Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi Nakamoto being the creator of Bitcoin, the world's most infamous currency, the world's most allegedly valuable currency. We love Bitcoin here on Free Talk Live, and whoever Satoshi Nakamoto is really doesn't matter to me. I mean, Bitcoin's a done deal. Even if Satoshi is unmasked, and whether it's this guy or not, whoever it is, if that person is revealed at some point, it's not going to do anything to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to continue on to be an incredible thing that allows people to transfer value from one to another around the globe nearly instantaneously. That's not going to change because whoever Satoshi Nakamoto is going to be unmasked or will be or maybe will not be unmasked. It really won't matter. But it is interesting. It's a curiosity. A lot of people, when somebody's anonymous, there's going to be a drive to reveal that person. Who is that anonymous person? Who is the creator of Bitcoin? Anyway, if you've got Bitcoin and you want to save big time on your Amazon purchases, you can go to saveitpurse.com. Get started there, and you can save 20, 30, 40% on your purchases at Amazon. It's super easy to do. I've done it on multiple occasions, more than 24 times this year alone. Basically, I don't buy from Amazon directly anymore. I always go through saveatpurse.com because why would I not want to save 20%? It takes me like an hour to get my order fulfilled when I put it in at 20%. If I put it in at 40%, it might take several days. So it depends on the percentage you select, and you get to choose what your discount is at saveatpurse.com. But the key is you have to have Bitcoin. So this is a good reason to get some Bitcoin. Anyway, go to saveatpurse, saveatpurse.com. Get started there. Even if you don't have the Bitcoin yet, you can go and get your account created at saveatpurse.com and then go get some Bitcoin. All right, our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Your thoughts on Craig Wright is his name. He's a businessman, and he lives in Australia. He just had his home and offices raided by the Australian Federal Police on behalf of the Australian Tax Office, who will not give out any information about this right now. They're claiming it's legal confidentiality. You can't comment on an individual or entity's tax affairs. But it's awfully coincidental that the raid happened to coincide with the very same day that the media comes out alleging that he is Satoshi Nakamoto.
Sure is.
Either Wright invented Bitcoin or he's a brilliant hoaxer who very badly wants us to believe that he did, said Wired. Reuters could not independently verify the authenticity of the documents and transcripts quoted in the report. So again, a lot of the information that is pointing to this guy being Satoshi Nakamoto has been released by an alleged hacker, and obviously it's all I think suspect because of that. Who knows if this wasn't just manufactured? Who knows if this wasn't Craig Wright himself who released the information? To bring attention to his business.
A pre-IPO company, a Bitcoin bank, essentially. And I wonder how a Bitcoin bank would do if it's revealed that Bitcoin bank's owner is, in fact, Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah, that would be a pretty big deal, right? Satoshi Nakamoto is creating his own Bitcoin bank.
Yeah. I mean, if Satoshi Nakamoto, I want to say thanks to Satoshi Nakamoto for this great technology that he created. So, maybe I'd use his bank rather than all the other Bitcoin banks out there. Also, I would question if this is a Bitcoin bank, as I understand a Bitcoin bank. There's not a lot of information about this company yet. But if this is a Bitcoin bank, like I understand, why in the world would Satoshi Nakamoto be making a Bitcoin bank when the whole purpose of his
is to decentralize.
Right. His program was to get away from banks.
That's a great point.
Bitcoin allows you, the core software that they have, allows you to have a bank on your computer, your laptop.
You are your bank, basically.
Your cell phone. You could even have what they call a brain wallet where you just keep a password in your head.
That's true.
So why would the person that...
I don't trust myself enough for that one.
...created Bitcoin...
You got to remember like 12 words in order to have the brain wallet.
Sure.
But that's a great point, Mark. Why would Satoshi do that? And I think Virgil should add that to his list because I don't think that's in his list. Maybe we'll go through Virgil's list of why he thinks this guy is not, in point of fact, Satoshi Nakamoto. But more about the raid here, because whoever this guy is, and if he didn't set this up and this was like something that he wasn't planning and somebody actually did, kind of put him out there like this, then that's terrible. And he's now had his home raided, I think, because of the news media coverage.
It seems pretty likely.
And I don't wish that on anybody. I mean, even if he is just some sort of self-promoting businessman who wants to promote his new venture, and who can blame anybody for that, even if that's all he is, he still doesn't deserve to be raided by the Australian tax goons. And that's what's happened here. So a man who identified himself as the owner of the home, Gary Harris, told Reuters that Wright and his family had lived there for a year and were due to move out this month to move to Britain. Harris said that Wright had a, quote, substantial computer system set up and had attached a 3-phase power system to the back of the house for extra power.
Yeah, I also want to know, why is Satoshi Nakamoto mining Bitcoin?
That's one of the points Virgil made on the Truth Voice article. That's the suggestion, is that this guy has a bunch of equipment that's mining Bitcoin.
Right. But Bitcoin mining has almost moved into a completely commercial venture. Individuals are going to have a very difficult time mining Bitcoin to any kind of success.
Like, it's not that profitable or hard to even turn a profit at all on this.
Right. And you got to be a pretty big operation to be able to compete. So Satoshi Nakamoto, it is believed, strongly believed, has many thousands of Bitcoins.
I believe it's more than it's like 1 million or something like that.
Can't be 1 million Bitcoins.
Really? That's what I thought I heard.
All right, so many Bitcoins. I don't know how many it is. Maybe it is 1 million. I guess it could be 1 million potentially, because they were being mined back in 2009 and 2010. Consider Free Talk Live didn't break this story until January 2011, and I believe we were the first ad venue to do it. And Bitcoin was 27 cents a piece. They had just recently been the pizza situation has just recently occurred. So a couple of months before that, Bitcoin had been basically going on for, call it 2 years before anybody knew about it at all. And by anybody, I guess I mean me. And a lot of people hadn't heard about it for another couple of years after that. So somebody was mining Bitcoins on like laptop computers.
Yeah.
Just computers, regular old computers. You can't do that anymore.
That's
you could barely do that when we found out about it. So somebody was mining them, and there's all these Bitcoins out there in single individual wallets, as I understand it to be. And Satoshi Nakamoto is going to have a lot of Bitcoins.
The Truth Voice article says he's got 1 million.
Okay, so 1 million Bitcoins. Let's just go with that number. It's a fine number.
Which is a huge
It's
number
a huge,
of Bitcoins.
huge number of Bitcoins.
The total number of Bitcoins that will be mined into
existence.
existence
$420 million.
will be 21 million of them,
Yes.
right? So he's got a good chunk. And right now I think there's what, like...
Why is this guy
12
mining
million?
Bitcoin? Why does he have all this expensive computer equipment?
That doesn't make sense. But maybe Satoshi would mine Bitcoin. Maybe he would continue because he loves the Bitcoin network and wants to contribute to it. So we'll continue. Is this guy Satoshi? You can share your thoughts. Free Talk Live.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Block-It Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockItPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockItPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockItPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State. Or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
A new medical study on the effects of marijuana use confirms that everyone knows you're high and that you'll never stop feeling like this.
Everyone can smell the marijuana on your breath and on your clothes. Everyone is laughing at you.
Additionally, the in-depth report reveals that despite trying to act cool, you're definitely laughing too much and everyone is messing with you.
Your parents know you're high. Your friends know you're high. Strangers on the street know you're high. If you're young and you smoke marijuana, you will probably never be able to find a job. And if you're an adult, you will most likely be fired. If you hear a noise, that's probably the police, and you're probably going to jail.
While previous studies suggested that it's all good and that we're all made of the same stuff that makes stars, new research indicates that your brain got broken and you shouldn't have done this. Doctors say the study raises important questions such as, what if that wasn't just marijuana and how are you going to get home?
This is the Onion News Network.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Is the mystery solved? Has the news media in the form of Wired Magazine and Gizmodo revealed Satoshi Nakamoto, the previously or maybe still anonymous creator of Bitcoin? Nobody really knows right now if this man they are alleging is Satoshi Nakamoto is indeed. Craig Stephen Wright is his name. He is an Australian businessman with a couple of businesses, De Morgan and Pantopticrypt. One of them is ostensibly some sort of Bitcoin bank, which, Mark, you say is evidence that he's not Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi Nakamoto wanted to he wanted to decentralize currency. He wanted to take currency out of the hands of banks and governments, and it wouldn't make sense for Satoshi Nakamoto, who has this drive to decentralize that industry, to create a bank for Bitcoin. That just doesn't add up. But there's some other reasons why truthvoice.com says he's not Satoshi Nakamoto, but the Australian police don't care. They've seen some allegations that this Craig Stephen Wright, whether he is or is not Satoshi, may have some Bitcoin, and that he may not have reported that Bitcoin to the Australian tax authorities. And so therefore, now Stephen Craig Roberts, whatever the hell his name is, Stephen Wright, Craig Stephen Wright.
Craig Stephen Wright.
that Craig Wright, that he's had his home and his offices raided, and likely his life is being turned upside down.
Note to self: don't go to Australia.
Why you mean like move there or go for a visit?
At this point, I'd be petrified to go for a visit. They're just raiding people because they see news stories that they've got some Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's disturbing because if it really was just emails that were released by a hacker, that isn't really evidence, is it? Like, it's interesting. It's an interesting allegation that Wired and Gizmodo are making, but in a court of law, I don't think you could present emails released by a hacker, could you? Because those were gained through theft, right? They were gained through breaking and entering likely into some computer system. And further, there's no way to verify that they're legitimate. I guess the argument would be that, well, now the government is going in to steal his computers legally, and they will go in and verify that they are there. I guess that would be the argument.
We'll find out soon whether it's legal, son.
Yeah. Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. If you want to comment here, is this guy really Satoshi Nakamoto? Wired does admit that he could be a brilliant hoaxer who wants us to believe that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. And by the way, there is a point that I think Virgil makes over in his Truth Voice article that Satoshi, when he released this Bitcoin to the world, he had a certain PGP signature that he signed it with. And whoever it is that is Satoshi Nakamoto could still at any time release a new message to the world, signing it with that original PGP signature, and that would be the one way that you could absolutely know for sure that this person is Satoshi Nakamoto.
What if you lost it?
I guess that's a possibility. But if Satoshi Nakamoto were still out there, and it's not Craig Stephen Wright, or Stephen Craig Wright, Craig Stephen Wright. If it's not Craig Stephen Wright, Satoshi Nakamoto could write an email out saying, that guy, that's not me. Signed Satoshi Nakamoto, PGP signature, and everybody would know that that was actually Satoshi Nakamoto who said that Craig Wright is not him.
Yes.
He could do that. Similarly, Craig Wright, if he was in possession of the signature, could claim to be Satoshi Nakamoto at any time. It's my understanding Craig Wright at this point has not spoken to any media whatsoever. So it should be interesting when or if he breaks his silence. Now he's under serious scrutiny by the police at his rented home. This from Reuters and Vice.com reporting a modest brick house in the leafy middle-class suburb of Gordon. 3 police workers wearing white gloves could be seen searching the garage, which contained gym equipment. A man who identified himself as the owner of the home said that there was a substantial computer system set up, had a three-phase power system to the back of the house that had been added for extra power. Police personnel at Wright's office had shirts on that read "Computer Forensics." A fellow business tenant at the building who declined to be named said Wright had not been seen there in the past week. Satoshi Nakamoto is the pseudonym of the person or group of people who authored the white paper about Bitcoin, the protocol, and the software that gave rise to Bitcoin. The New York Times, Newsweek, and other publications have guessed at Nakamoto's real identity, but none has proven conclusive.
And made people's lives miserable in the process.
Yep.
This could very likely be another one of those. And I guess I'm just going to have to see some more evidence. The first story I saw on this was the one from truthvoice.com rebutting it. And I guess when I saw the picture of the guy jumping out of the airplane...
That's the dead guy, I think.
Yeah, just give him the thumbs up, and it just didn't strike me as Satoshi Nakamoto. And I realize it's crappy evidence. I get it, but it just like I don't know. I mean,
he's not Oriental.
No, it's not that. It's more the Satoshi Nakamoto wants to be secret, and I would think that's the wise thing to do. And this guy is laying out evidence and appears to be an attention seeker.
Newsweek identified a Japanese... Well, then why isn't he doing media at this point if he wants so much attention?
Newsweek... It's been a day.
True. Newsweek identified a Japanese-American called Dorian Prentice Satoshi Nakamoto in March 2014, but he has steadfastly denied being the author of the cryptocurrency. There's even some will say that all the media attention really hurt this other Satoshi Nakamoto guy.
Yeah, sure.
Uncovering Nakamoto's real identity would be significant, claims Reuters, not just to solving a long-standing riddle, but for the future of the world's most commonly used virtual currency. Unlike traditional currency, bitcoins are not distributed by a central bank or backed by physical assets like gold, but are mined by users who use computers to calculate increasingly complex algorithmic formulas. As an early miner of the bitcoins, Nakamoto is sitting on about 1 million bitcoins, worth more than $400 million at present exchange rates. According to Bitcoin expert Sergio Damian Lerner, the treatment of Bitcoin for tax purposes in Australia has been the subject of considerable debate. The Australian Tax Office ruled in December of 2014 that cryptocurrency could be considered an asset rather than a currency for capital gains tax purposes. Australia's major banks announced in September they were closing the accounts of Bitcoin companies, forcing at least 13 digital currency providers out of business in response to tougher rules on money laundering and terrorist financing.
Yeah, I'm sure terrorists are just running all over with Bitcoin.
A Reuters investigation. Well, didn't they find that there was like 1% of 1% of terrorist money that's in Bitcoin? So like almost none of it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Something like that.
Some study that was done. A Reuters investigation in October found Australian businesses were turning their backs on Bitcoin as the bank's move accelerated a trend by mainstream businesses to drop the currency. So that's the mainstream sort of media summary here of the piece of what has happened. This man, his home has been raided. And again, all of this is based on basically leaked emails is the real, I think that's my reading of the Gizmodo piece, and I haven't read the full piece. I read through about 3/4 of it last night. It was really, really detailed and really long. But it seems like it's just based on these leaks more so than anything else. And to me, that wouldn't be enough to go on for a news article.
Somebody could fabricate some emails that they quote unquote got from your email account and claim that you were Satoshi Nakamoto tomorrow, if that's what they wanted to do.
The story over at Virgil Vaduva, writing at truthvoice.com, says the media is in a feeding frenzy over the revelations from Wired magazine and Gizmodo that Satoshi Nakamoto has been identified, and his name is Craig Stephen Wright, an Australian man living in a modest Sydney home who has a lot of big computer equipment in his basement, needing a lot of electricity.
Yeah, uses a lot of electricity.
In what appears to be an elaborate hoax played on the media, an unknown individual or group of individuals, likely Craig Wright himself, managed to disseminate just enough circumstantial evidence in order to motivate an eager journalist to determine that he, namely Craig Wright, is Satoshi Nakamoto, the original creator of Bitcoin. Virtually all of Wired Magazine's original article is, in essence, concluding that Wright is Satoshi, based on blog post timestamps dating back as far as 2008, supposed leaked email messages, and transcripts of conversations between Wright and his New South Wales government employees.
So, what is the email account this is leaked from? Do they say that? I mean, it would be kind of...
Those details are in the Gizmodo piece from what I saw. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. So why is this guy not Satoshi Nakamoto? We'll go through some of it. And does it really matter who Satoshi Nakamoto is? It's Free Talk Live.
I was coming out of the hardware store when I saw him. An old man, late 70s, hunched over in the freezing rain, no hat on his head, limping across that slippery parking lot, and pushing a row of shopping carts toward the cart corral. It's heartbreaking. Millions of hardworking Americans simply don't have enough money to retire, so they just keep working and working and working until it's too late. Hi, I'm Chad Stubbs, President and CEO of Power Trader, and I believe that's just plain wrong. That's why I'm now distributing to the public absolutely free copies of Power Trader's game-changing book on how regular folks can make the money they need to retire fast. For your free copy, call 1-800-771-6706. Don't let the lack of money rob you of your retirement. Call now for details and get your free copy of this book before it's too late. 1-800-771-6706. But hurry while supplies last. 1-800-771-6706. 1-800-771-6706.
Concerned about harmful contaminants in your water? Look to ProPure, the most trusted name in gravity water filtration systems. ProPure, with the silver-infused Pro 1 G2.0 filter, removes over 200 contaminants, including VOCs, heavy metals, chloramines, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, fluorides, and radiologicals. We don't just say it, we back it up. The Pro 1 G2.0 filter is NSF 42 certified and independently tested to meet NSF 53 and P231 standards. Pro Pure Water, the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. Purchase with confidence in quality, performance, and customer service. Take advantage of our biggest holiday 25% off sale going on now. Visit your authorized Pro Pure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com. Or call 800-544-3533. 800-544-3533.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 85% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. It's 855-450-3733. We've got a website. It's freetalklive.com. You can go there, get interactive. You can actually submit content right to the front page of the website. And then other listeners can vote on it. So you submit like things you might want us to talk about on the air, show topics, suggestions. And then you get to vote on what other people have submitted. It's all for free. You just go to freetalklive.com and do that. Now, Mark, there's actually more to this story. There's a lot of detail that we're not, giving out here.
Right, there's no way we can cover it all.
This Gizmodo story is pages and pages and pages long with a lot of allegations and claims. And the main thrust here is that Gizmodo and Wired Magazine are claiming that they have the information that has led them to believe that Craig Stephen Wright, an Australian businessman, is one of Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi Nakamoto being the secretive creator of Bitcoin, the world's most popular virtual currency out there right now, currently worth over $400 per Bitcoin. And the story names another gentleman, I believe his name is Dave Kleiman, and Kleiman is dead. He died in 2013. And the story at Gizmodo says that Kleiman died in kind of a shoddy manner. Like, he was not living in a good condition. He wasn't living in a nice place. He wasn't being taken care of. He was ill in some way. I don't know what the sickness was, but it seemed like if this guy was indeed Satoshi Nakamoto and had access to half of Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin wealth, which he supposedly did. He supposedly
$200 million.
Yeah, he's supposedly half, basically the creator of Bitcoin with this other guy who's still alive. And if he was Satoshi Nakamoto, why wouldn't he have cashed out some of his Bitcoin to, I don't know, help take care of himself toward the end of his life? I mean, he was a sick man and apparently, died in kind of a squalor condition. So that doesn't really make sense either, right?
Well, I mean, this guy's living in a modest house in a Sydney suburb, and he's
the guy who's alive.
Yeah, and he's intending to move to England for some particular reason. I guess if I was Satoshi Nakamoto, perhaps a sailboat in the Caribbean might be the place that I'm looking to go. I just don't entirely understand why this person's acting the way they do. But then again, I don't understand why rich people act the way they act. So maybe I'll never know.
There's a man that they cite in this article. I'm over at Gizmodo.com. Patrick Page, who runs a Palm Beach County business called Computer Forensics LLC, in which Mr. Kleiman was also a partner, had formed their own suspicions about Satoshi's identity after receiving a string of bizarre communications from Wright following Kleiman's death in 2013. Later on in the story here, it does say that Mr. Page, who was Kleiman's business partner, according to Page, Wright, who's the man they're now suspecting of being Satoshi, eventually told him that Kleiman was the creator of Bitcoin. Later, he clarified the cryptocurrency was invented by a group of people, which included Kleiman. But if that was true, then Kleiman was likely sitting on a fortune when he died in April of 2013. Even if he were in possession of only half of Satoshi's fabled million Bitcoin stockpile, that would have been worth about $65 million at the time of his death. Wright made clear to Page that he wasn't after the money. He only wanted to make sure that it made its way into Kleiman's estate and didn't sit gathering dust in a digital vault. But again, Kleiman needed money badly, according to those who knew him well. His house was under foreclosure, and he had spent nearly 3 years in a VA hospital before he died. If Dave Kleiman were Satoshi Nakamoto or one of several Satoshis, wouldn't he have cashed out at some point? So even that question is included in the Gizmodo article.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
as
quite,
it should be.
Right. And so, to some extent, the media here has covered their butt by making it clear that, well, we're not really totally sure that this is Satoshi, but here's the evidence that we found.
Yeah.
And now this man's home and his office, the one that's still alive, has been raided by the Australian government. But let's get back into some more reasons why truthvoice.com and Virgil Viduva say that Craig Wright is not, in point of fact, Satoshi Nakamoto. Virtually all of their article, the Wired magazine article, so again, it's Wired and Gizmodo, there's two very long pieces at both places, is concluding that Mr. Wright is Satoshi based on blog post timestamps back to 2008 and supposed leaked email messages between Wright and government employees. The Gizmodo article attempts to use the same evidence to reach similar conclusions. The irony in all these explosive revelations is that all authors involved in the writing of these articles are going out of their way to not repeat the mistakes of the Newsweek 2014 article, which erroneously outed an innocent bystander named Dorian Nakamoto as the creator of Bitcoin.
While still outing somebody as the creator of Bitcoin.
Right.
Like they want to make sure they don't do it while they do it.
They are using words like probably and even include an unambiguous disclaimer in the piece stating, quote, despite that overwhelming collection of clues, none of it fully proves that Wright is Nakamoto, unquote. In October of 2014, Dorian Nakamoto announced that he intended to sue Newsweek. And months after taking relentless mocking and heat from the general public, Newsweek appears to have moved the original piece on Nakamoto behind a paywall that ignores their 5 free article limit extended to non-subscribers. So it seems like they're embarrassed about it now. Having learned from Newsweek's mistakes, perhaps Wired and Gizmodo are simply trying to have it both ways, create a massive amount of publicity and traffic, and being able to walk away from a highly controversial story saying they never claimed with certainty that Wright is Satoshi. So here's some reasons why Virgil believes Craig Wright is not Satoshi Nakamoto. 1. Timestamps on blog posts can be easily faked. A blog post date and time can be written today and made to look like it was written in 2008. 2. Any documents claimed to
How do they do that, by the way? I mean, when the claim was made, can
open up Photoshop and claim, redate something,
all right,
or whatever, or edit the actual database entries to have a new published by date.
Okay,
it's not hard to do that. Number 2, any documents claimed to be leaked coming from anonymous sources can also be faked and manipulated. This includes audio recordings, transcripts, and supposed email messages. Number 3, Wired's claim that email addresses used by Craig Wright are, quote, very similar, unquote, to email addresses used by Satoshi Nakamoto is just journalistic hyperbole and cannot be used to prove that Wright is Satoshi. 4, the claims that PGP keys used by Wright and Satoshi...
We should know what those are, by the way. To say they're similar, we should be able to look at those two email addresses together.
Well, again, that's also something that can be faked. If they put the Satoshi email address that released the white paper on an email that is found in Craig Wright's box or whatever, a picture of it, it's easy to just transpose that stuff. The claims that PGP keys used by Wright and Satoshi are, quote, linked to the creation of Bitcoin, unquote, also lack any substance. A PGP signature can offer concrete evidence of authorship or verification that the person possessing said private key that was used to sign a specific file or email message is in fact the true person behind the messages. Wright has not provided any such evidence, and this evidence should be easily provided. He could simply make a public post stating that he is Satoshi Nakamoto and then sign that post with Satoshi's original PGP key, which he has never used and can be found here. Then he links to the Satoshi key. Number 5, Satoshi Nakamoto has never shown the desire to be a media hog or a public person, while Wright has. Satoshi has always shown the desire to be private and live in the shadows.
This has got to be the most important part to me.
Yeah, Satoshi disappeared basically shortly after releasing Bitcoin, right? Like, didn't he stick around for a little bit and then just was gone?
At some point, he turned over the keys to Gavin Andreessen, and literally there was some keys that allow Gavin Andreessen to send some kind of message through the Bitcoin Core software, and basically that's all he can do is send message. That's it.
Wright is still mining Bitcoin. This is number 6 reason why Virgil says it's not. Craig Wright is not Satoshi Nakamoto. He's still mining Bitcoin. According to the police who've raided the home, there was a substantial amount of equipment in Wright's home. Now, Virgil is speculating here that it is used for Bitcoin mining. We do not know that. So he could have other computer equipment. I mean, this guy is a tech guy, and so he could be running his own server from his own house or something like that. Wright apparently had a fancy circuit pulled into the building suggesting that Bitcoin mining might be happening. But if Satoshi Nakamoto already has 1 million Bitcoin already, then why would he spend his time and resources on an activity that is no longer profitable? Well, I would say that the rebuttal to that point is that if it's Satoshi Nakamoto, then he loves Bitcoin enough to continue mining even though it's not profitable. That would be my argument there.
Okay, why would he do it, though?
Because he loves Bitcoin. He's the creator of it.
But what's the point in continuing to mine when other people are doing it better?
Well, why not? I mean, if you love the Bitcoin network and you want to contribute to it, then you can mine. You know, anybody can do it. You just have to have specialized equipment in order to do it. So,
I don't know. It seems weak to me. I mean, it's doing what it's supposed to do. The Shelby, when he created a bunch of great cars, didn't go and drive all those cars.
Well, when Ray Kroc invented McDonald's, he didn't just walk away from that, did he?
No, he continued to participate.
He couldn't manage every McDonald's location, but he continued to run the business. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. So I think that's the weakest point here. I think the best points are that this whole thing is based on a hacker releasing information to the internet. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live. Coming up, North Korea and Venezuela.
Dr. Ngozi Obi is an emerging American author of Nigerian descent who's published 2 novels with an inspirational message. A third is in the works. Her first novel, Love's Destiny, follows Naira, a somewhat naive young woman, in a gripping tale of love lost and found. Her second novel, When Dreams and Visions Collide, follows Fern and friends as they discover what it takes to realize a dream and the true meaning of unconditional love. Dr. Obi's books are available where books are sold and ladyofdestiny.com.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, December 9th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.28 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,080 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $422. Antiwar.com reports pro-Saudi Yemeni leader Abdurabu Mansour Hadi has announced there will be a week-long ceasefire beginning on December 15th and going through December 21st, meant to coincide with planned UN peace talks. The Shiite Houthis have also agreed to the deal if the Saudi airstrikes stop as well. Ceasefires in Yemen are always a dicey proposition, and both sides are likely to be very tentative in the early hours. Hadi's faction captured the city of Aden, their temporary capital city, in July when they dishonored a week-long ceasefire in the first few hours. The last UN-brokered peace talks were a disastrous failure back in June when the two sides refused to even be in the same room. The only time the two sides were even face-to-face was when pro-Hadi delegates attacked a Houthi press conference, sparking a fistfight. We're unlikely to get any media coverage of a fistfight this time, however, as the UN has announced the talks will be held at a secret location location, and neither the venue nor the details of the talks will be discussed publicly, saying at most official updates may be provided directly by the UN Special Envoy. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Supreme Court justices appeared reluctant on Tuesday to endorse a conservative challenge to the way Texas draws state legislative districts in a case that could shrink the political clout of Hispanics and boost the power of rural voters. It was not clear after an hour of oral arguments how the 9 justices would rule in a dispute that questions a process that all 50 states employ to create electoral districts using an area's total population as opposed to just eligible voters. The case is closely watched because of its potential to transfer influence from urban areas that tend to be racially diverse and favor Democrats to rural ones with predominantly white voters who often back Republicans. 2 Texas voters recruited by a conservative legal activist group contend that the process Texas uses to draw electoral districts violates a long-established legal principle of one person, one vote, endorsed by the Supreme Court in the 1960s. If their challenge succeeds, it would upend how voting maps are drawn around the country. Counting everyone and not just eligible voters boosts the electoral influence of locales typically urban with sizable populations of people ineligible to vote, including both legal and illegal immigrants as well as children. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. Antiwar.com reports in a 407-19 vote backed by the White House, the U.S. House of Representatives on Tuesday passed a bill aiming to restrict visa-free travel to the United States for anyone who has been to Iraq or Syria in the last 5 years. The visa waiver program covers 38 countries from which travelers can come to the United States for visits of 90 days or less without having a visa, so long as they have a passport and a round-trip ticket. In addition to restrictions on visitors who have been to Iraq or Syria, House leaders say this is likely just the first of a series of bills aimed at increasing restrictions on entry into the United States. One of a handful of opponents to the bill, Representative Keith Ellison of Minnesota, complained the focus should be on terrorists, not nation of origin, adding that the bill was overbroad and should include exceptions for journalists and researchers who have been to Iraq or Syria. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
People are saying it could be a baby bump. Our senior celebrity correspondent, Tyler, is here. Tyler, you always have the inside dish. What's the deal?
She looks like she got fat, so she might have a baby in her tummy.
Oh? What else have you heard?
I heard she has a boyfriend, and they have sex.
That's right. You know, the Hollywood couple vacationed in Rome together just 2 months ago.
They had a big hotel room, and I can tell you what they did in it.
Spill it, Tyler.
He put his penis in her vagina.
Hot. She is one lucky gal.
And she's going crazy.
Uh-oh. Is stardom starting to wear on Emma?
Yeah, she's crazy and dumb. She put a carrot in her vagina.
Whoa. Do tell.
Yeah, she said, "Oh, this carrot's like my boyfriend's penis. I'm gonna rub it all over my vagina. I'm so gross." Then she ate it like Bugs Bunny.
What a hot mess. Hey, Emma, get it together, girl. Tyler, you are breaking news as always.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You may dial toll-free here. And our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Satoshi Nakamoto. Has he been revealed? Or she? We still don't really know who it is. although Wired Magazine and Gizmodo seem kind of certain. They're saying that the man they're alleging is Satoshi Nakamoto is probably Satoshi Nakamoto, but they don't really know. They've made some pretty big claims. They've shown alleged evidence, which is it includes hacked emails and blog posts that apparently, when looked at closely by Wired later, according to an article that I was actually just looking at during the news over at Vox.com by Timothy Lee, the headline here is "Why I'm Getting More Skeptical of Claims That Bitcoin's Creator Has Been Unmasked." They claim here that there's these blog posts, I guess, that they're using, a series of blog posts from 2008 and 2009, before and immediately after Bitcoin's launch, that suggests that Craig Stephen Wright, had close ties to Bitcoin and Nakamoto. However, sleuthing by Wired indicates these details were added to the post sometime after 2013, suggesting that someone, and that someone would almost certainly be Wright himself, was trying to manufacture evidence of a Wright-Nakamoto link. So there's two possibilities here. One is that Craig Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto, and the other is that Wright has been conducting an elaborate year-long con to convince the world that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. So this guy says when he originally wrote his story on Tuesday evening, he was pretty sure Nakamoto had been found, but after sleeping on it and looking through the evidence again, he says he's more skeptical. So yeah, maybe it's not Satoshi Nakamoto. We certainly don't claim to know here on Free Talk Live, but maybe you've got some idea you want to share with us. It's Ian and Mark in the studio, and our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
Now, you had suggested that Satoshi Nakamoto could simply prove who he was by using the private key to the PGP thing that he had sent out there, but
yeah, he could sign a new message with his PGP signature or whatever.
He can. I guess he could prove that who he is, but not prove who he is not, I guess.
Well, that's true, I suppose.
So, I mean, you'd have to keep this guy away from a computer while Satoshi wrote that thing. I see what you're saying. It's kind of like Clark Kent and Superman, you know?
What you're saying is if Craig Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto, and he writes, but he doesn't want people to know that let's say he's been outed without his consent. This wasn't a plot. And he wants people to not believe that he's Satoshi Nakamoto. He could sign a new message by Satoshi claiming Craig Wright is not Satoshi Nakamoto.
Right, so Clark Kent leaves the room. Yeah. Superman comes in and says, I am absolutely not Clark Kent. Yeah. And then flies out the window, and then Clark Kent comes back in the room. So, I mean, we don't know. It doesn't prove that Superman is Clark Kent, and it doesn't prove that Superman is not Clark Kent.
So we can continue here. There's a piece over at Airbits, which is actually a Bitcoin wallet company, by MK Lord, saying it still doesn't matter who Satoshi Nakamoto is.
That's mostly how I feel.
But let's go first to Michael Dean, who's on the line with us here. You're on Free Talk Live via Skype.
Hey, yeah, what's up? This guy is not Satoshi Nakamoto, is my opinion, and
why?
That's not what I'm calling about, because I say so. I don't know. I got obsessed and spent 4 hours today reading everything about this and looking at video. You make it sound like that's a deficiency, Ian. Come on. No, it's a good thing. It's
I'm
it was
glad
part
you
of the
spent
process.
that time, because I certainly didn't.
There you go. I like the Superman theory. I like hearing Mark talk about Superman. But what I'm calling about is a vision of LibPair. What it would be like if the government were out of the way. LibPair is Libertarian Paradise. The thing that we're all looking for, which, probably wouldn't be a paradise. It'd probably actually be a little louder and noisier and rough around the edges than what we have now, but more fun. So I had a dream that Ian and I were hanging out in LibPair. The government was gone, or just, like MySpace, 100 million users. No one's checked in for 5 years.
Are you still taking a lot of medications for your illness?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure for the dream. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I was like, well, take this with a grain of salt. Michael Dean is tripping on big pharma. No, okay, so I've always had vivid dreams, and they're always like elevator pitch dreams, like movies. Like I can describe them, whereas, like my wife will have a dream and describe it for 20 minutes. I'm like, what happened? My dreams I can describe in like a four floor trip on an elevator, and they make sense. So I had a dream that the government was out of the way. There was no FCC, and Ian Freeman owned a 1 million watt AM radio station.
Set people's hair on fire.
We did. We were lighting joints and cooking burritos out the window by pointing them at the antenna 200 feet away.
Yeah.
Okay.
It probably made us sterile, but it was in New Hampshire in the woods. But it was like it was in a tree house, like rainforest canopy height, like 300 feet up. There aren't trees that tall there, but there were in this dream, 300 feet up in the air. And Ian and I were there with Jazzy, the studio dog. And it was like, we didn't know what to do because the government was like, what do the libertarian shows do when the government's out of the way? So like, I think somebody was playing with 2 turntables and a microphone. We were interviewing Jazzy, the studio dog, on the air. We were like, scratching records. We were playing sound bites. It was free form, like, trippy 60s FM radio is what we're doing.
Out.
That was what we did. So what do you guys think you would do? And I think Mark was like back home with an abacus going, wait, how do we monetize? I don't know what to do now.
Monetize this?
Yeah. So they're just cussing and interviewing a dog. Oh, we were cussing a lot. And then you got sick of cussing, but I kept cussing because, So what do you guys think LibPair would look like radio-wise and world-wise?
Oh, God, that's a big question. I mean, how do you even start with that?
Well, we're obviously talking about the future, and I really do believe that radio talk is the radio of the future. Now, I don't think radio is going to be as lucrative as it was in the past.
And it won't be on radio, probably.
Well, there's still the devices out there. I mean, people are still going to use them. Because
every smartphone now has an FM receiver in it. Did you know that?
I don't think that's true.
The new smartphones, I think it's a law.
I don't think so.
Most of them have it. Android phones almost all, or you can put it on as an app, and they have to have the headphones plugged in because it works as the antenna. But it's pretty good audio quality.
You've actually tried this?
Yeah, it's for some so the DHS can contact you if internets are down.
Okay, interesting. The last I heard about that was they'd managed to get like 1 or 2 phone companies to implement an FM chip, but not all of them. But maybe maybe I just haven't paid close enough attention to that. I don't believe that I have one in my phone, and it's within the last couple of years. Mine's like a 2-year-old phone.
Yeah. What I would say is that in a libertarian world, I think they'd still have many of the rules that the FCC has. That mostly things would that. No, I get where you're coming from, but there are lots of people that don't want to hear cussing on the radio. So
yeah, they would listen to the channel. The market would take care of it. They'd listen to the grandpa's channel.
They would, and talk radio is mostly a group of people that don't want to hear that kind of talk. I'd get tired of it too.
That's the word we
current listenership of conservative talk radio.
We're changing
but there's
that.
A lot of different kind of talk radio out there. I mean, for instance. Where we come from, Mark, we were on a station called Real Radio in Florida, which is an FM talk station that has been around since the 1990s, and it's a very kind of blue format. It's a like kind of TNA, have the strippers in the studio kind of format. And I think absolutely on a station like that you would hear profanity. So
I wonder whether that would be even interesting in a world without the FCC.
People subscribe to Howard Stern,
They do.
He's so square. Howard Stern is square. I mean, he was
whatever. He's got strippers on his show, and they curse on
strippers on
radio.
The radio. Yeah, but we call radio over here at the Fiends. We call it Grandpa's Podcasts.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, if Mark, what you're saying is true, and that talk radio is the future of radio, then that means that there needs to be more than just conserva-clone talk radio for talk radio to become something more than it currently is. Which that's about all it is. There are some stations like Real Radio, but you can probably count them on one hand. There used to be some liberal talk radio stations. There aren't as many of them these days, and the ones that do exist basically have the same formula as the conservative talk stations.
Well, at this point, we only have basically 2 companies that own radio stations that are diminishing. And there's 2 big companies out there that own a lot of stations.
They've also been selling their stations.
A tremendous amount of debt.
Stand by, Michael Dean. Let's talk about the future in moments here. More about that, and your calls and thoughts are welcome. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. What would libertarian paradise look like?
Have you become a slave to big tobacco? Have they taken away your money, your health, and even your freedom, forcing you to stand out in the cold this winter? There's an alternative. With the help of Jimmy the Juice Man and GiantVapes.com, for less than the cost of a carton of cigarettes, you can make the switch to electronic cigarettes and take back your freedom. At GiantVapes.com, you'll find a selection of high-quality, reasonably priced electronic cigarette hardware kits to get you started, and a selection of delicious, premium, flavored liquid refills from the award-winning Jimmy the Juice Man brand. These aren't the junk you find at your local convenience store or gas station. Use coupon code FTL10 for 10% off your first order of hardware and Jimmy the Juice Man brand liquid at GiantVapes.com, where you'll always get free guaranteed same-day shipping. Break free of the chains of sin taxes and big tobacco. Free same-day shipping and 10% off from GiantVapes.com with coupon code FTL10. That's GiantVapes.com with coupon code FTL10.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is up $6 at $1,082 per ounce. Silver is 15 cents higher at $14.35 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $420 US. We have the lowest price Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. We got news out of Venezuela to discuss. They had an election down there, and things did not go well for Hugo Chavez's party, which might be good news for Venezuela. Our toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. 'Tis the season for ugly sweaters.
Well, that's good news for those of you who are looking for some ugly holiday sweaters. You can go to tipsyelves.com.
You may not have known you were looking for one.
No,
actually.
Indeed. You really want to go and take a look because you'll be awed by the ugliness. We got
And so will your friends when you buy one and wear it to a holiday party.
I think it's hard to enter the room and not be the topic of conversation with one of these sweaters on.
Yeah, sure.
Somebody is going to want to talk to you. People are going to want to talk to you about these sweaters. And if you happen to go to a holiday party and, I don't know, maybe it's at work and there's that attractive woman that you haven't been able to really strike up a conversation with, maybe this sweater will work.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth a shot. TipsyElves.com. If you enter code FTL at checkout, you get a 20% discount. That makes ugly sweaters look better. 20% off. You can't beat that. TipsyElves.com. You enter coupon code FTL and save money. Just go and check them out. There's some amazing choices. You can go over there. And they've actually got onesies, too, in case you're into sleeping in onesies. There you go. TipsyElves.com. Coupon code FTL.
Excellent. Let's continue here. We do have Michael Dean with us from the Freedom Fiends. He's on via Skype. And, Michael, you had asked the question, what do you think, or what do we think here on Free Talk Live, that specifically radio will look like in so-called libertarian paradise, that wonderful concept of freedom that we all have, that would like to achieve someday, but what would it actually look like? And then you asked a more broad question about what would the world look like? And obviously, it's impossible to answer the second question. And I think
the second question is one that people should be asking and talking about a lot. There's a lot of discussion of academic crap, like who would build the roads. But once you get past that, and there's really not a lot of great sci-fi on this. I mean, I guess Scott Beezer's done some. Moon is a Harsh Mistress, but really, what would it look like? I'd like to hear 100 different versions of it.
I'll tell you, the world's never going to be libertarian paradise because you can't get everyone to agree on everything. So I think if you can carve out some paradises around, the world, and like New Hampshire and a few other spots, then it might help promote the ideas of liberty to the rest of the world. But you're always going to have people who want to control others, and there are going to be people who want to be controlled. I mean, those people, they're into that. And they're not going to be persuaded by our wonderful wealth or whatever. I mean, slavery has ended for the most part. At least chattel slavery has ended in a lot of parts of the world, but it still exists. It's not completely gone. And obviously, slavery is sort of in a different form today anyway.
If slavery was legal right now, people would do it. I mean, there's already a movement of people who are attempting to act like slaves to their mistresses and dominatrixes and the opposite, the male genders of those. So I mean, I would think that if you could sell yourself into slavery and give the money away, or spend it on crack or whatever it is, that a good percentage
would do it.
A good percentage of the population would do that. The only thing that's saving them is the fact that it's completely illegal to do that. The only slavery that's allowed is the government's
enslaving.
So it's like the lottery.
So we're never going to get to that perfect world, because remember, there's always those zeitgeist people that want to put the world under the control of some computer program, and they believe that would be
those people are all broke.
Paradise.
They don't
so are the libertarians. I don't know if you've noticed that.
They're less broke. Well. And there's a few billionaires, but the people that want to have the world run by the socialist computer, those people can't even pay their rent.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm just pointing out that you're not necessarily going to convince everybody that they should join this libertarian paradise movement. That's just very unlikely, which is why concentrating libertarians in one place is a darn good idea, and that's why we're seeing the Free State Project be so successful here in New Hampshire. So yeah, I mean, but as far as radio is concerned, I think it's a little easier to see what that might be like. I think that one thing that you'd see happen with radio without government would be that you'd have more choices on the dial. I mean, that's an easy answer.
You'd have more. Yeah, I think you'd have more ability to put more things on the dial too, because digital radio has not caught on in America because of government.
That's true.
It's caught on in Europe, and you can put 10 times as many channels in the same bandwidth.
Well, and in most geographic places in the United States, there's just not enough on the dial, and it's because it costs too much to broadcast it. All the engineering
to go through the legal.
Yep.
Hassles.
All the stuff that goes into it, rather than putting up some small tower in your backyard and broadcasting on an open channel. Obviously, stepping on somebody else's signal, that's as far as I'm concerned, that's a property rights violation. But on an open signal, if you're out in, I don't know, Bozeman or something like that, it's not going to be that big of a deal. There's plenty of places here in Keene, New Hampshire, that you could be on the dial and not disturb anyone's signal at all. But obviously, New York City, Boston, Chicago, these places are exempted from the conversation I'm having.
That's one of the problems I think the FCC's created by just arbitrarily selecting the boundaries for the FM and the AM bands. Like, oh, well, if you're in New York City, we're all full up. Sorry, I don't have any room for you. Well, the marketplace would figure out a way to get around that, right? Like, whatever it would be, like in the computer world, there's groups or consortiums of technology companies that come together and they agree on certain standards. So like USB appears on every single computer out there because no one really owns USB. It's sort of a standard that they came up with, basically, that all of these computer manufacturers can use. Now, maybe they're paying some sort of license fee. I don't know how it all works behind the scenes, but it's not the same thing as some sort of proprietary Apple connector. So there's these things that they come up with that the whole industry just sort of agrees to use. Similarly with Blu-ray versus HD DVD, or anyone remember HD DVD? Or how about Beta versus VHS? More people probably remember Beta. It was a larger format war back then. VHS won the war. Arguably, Beta was the better format, but VHS won, and that's what the manufacturers.
What about Laserdisc?
Adopted.
Where doesn't even get to hit on?
Poor Laserdisc.
It's a mention.
I love Laserdisc.
So if you could put 100 stations on what you can put one station on now, you could have wider, lowest common denominator stuff. Like, every network now has a fishing show and a car repair show, but you could have the fly fishing and Maserati repair show, something more specific if you could have 100 instead of one on the same amount of radio frequency. And I believe too, I agree that, without government, business would come up with that way faster and implement it better.
And also businesses will come up with ways to protect the kids from the bad programming as well. So I'll give you an example of this from the marketplace.
You guys are advertising something for internet censorship, and I think it's great. It's voluntary for families.
Yeah, so there'd be some kind of tool like that. And my favorite example of this is that with free-to-air satellite, which is what we're on in over Africa, a good chunk of Africa and North and Central America, there are free-to-air satellite receiver sellers. So you can go and buy a free-to-air satellite receiver, plug it into your satellite dish, and receive hundreds of free TV and radio channels, including LRN.FM, which has some very profane shows on it. Which would mean that anyone listening to free-to-air could hear that. But there's a certain seller out there that sells a receiver that is locked to specific religious channels. So you can buy a free-to-air receiver that does not receive all free-to-air channels.
It probably costs more.
I don't know. It's very cheap.
And people buy it,
But, the religious families buy that because they know they can have their kids flipping through all the channels, and they're just going to go through all the same religious channels, and they'll never have to see anything that they don't want them to see. Thanks, Michael Dean, for your call tonight from Freedom Fiends.
Worms.
And this is Free Talk Live. Continuing. You can join us.
Just recently, we've witnessed some of the most catastrophic disasters in history. Be sure to prepare yourself with great-tasting, high-quality, GMO-free food that has a 25-year shelf life. Of course, we're talking about the foods from SurvivalFoodAlliance.com. And don't forget, the human body needs up to 3 quarts of water every day to remain healthy and hydrated. So check out our water bricks at SurvivalFoodAlliance.com. Go to SurvivalFoodAlliance.com or call 877-223-1776.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com, advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You may join us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. It's contest time, specifically the anti-war haiku contest. It is, I believe, the first time this has ever been done.
It has to be.
Antiwar.com has done some successful fundraisers in the past. They had a social media campaign with hashtag #WhyIamAntiWar. Hundreds of people wrote in with answers to this incredibly important question. Now they want to encourage your creativity with the hashtag anti-war haiku contest. So you can write up a pro-peace haiku in 575 syllable haiku. Submit your entry for your chance to win 0.5, 0.7, or 0.5 Bitcoin for the top 3 winners. That's right. Apparently, I was confused last night. I thought that this was just written out of order to be cute, but apparently the second place winner is actually going to get the largest prize, the 0.7 Bitcoin. So either way, there's Bitcoin in this for you if you're the winner. You can only enter by emailing it to antiwarhaiku at antiwar.com. You got from now until December 16th at midnight. And it doesn't say if it's midnight Eastern or midnight Pacific, but given that Angela from Antiwar is on the West Coast, it may be midnight Pacific. But don't wait till the last moment. Get your entry in right now or this weekend or something over at Antiwar Haiku at antiwar.com, and then put your haiku and tag antiwarcom or anti-war or hashtag anti-war haiku so others can see your message of peace and see your entry on your favorite social media website. But again, the email address to enter is antiwarhaiku at antiwar.com. You got through the 16th to get into that. As we continue here with your calls and thoughts, we'll talk about what happened in Venezuela on the way here. Gamma Blast is on the line in Chicago. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello, Gamma Blast.
Hello, Ian and Mark.
Hi there.
My question for you and maybe your whole audience is just, I really enjoy your show. I really miss an episode, but you guys seem to really dislike Donald Trump, maybe even despise all hosts, I'm pretty sure. But I also really appreciate Donald Trump and a lot of things he has to say, and just basically the way he gives a big middle finger to the media and a lot of the establishment politicians, and I appreciate Donald Trump as well. So
that's the thing I like about him the most, too. That's what I like the most about him, too, is Donald Trump appears to be running sort of a troll campaign. But I'm fully aware that in 2016, somebody's going to be elected president of the United States. And do you really want that to be Donald Trump? Even though it's fun to watch, do you want it to be Donald Trump?
Do I want it to be any of them? Well, I mean, I think we could do much worse, to be quite honest.
Okay. So which ones?
I think Bernie Sanders. Do I have to stick to Republican candidates?
Oh, Bernie Sanders is a great choice. Let me give you my preference of Bernie Sanders over Donald Trump. Donald Trump says he's going to go tear the Middle East a new one. He's going to bomb the hell out of everybody and make a whole bunch of new terrorists, apparently, and make people mad and make the Mexicans build the wall for him and a variety of things like that he says he's going to do. Bernie Sanders isn't going to get any socialist policies through because we'll still have a Republican Congress. So all he's going to do is...
you don't know that.
It's a prediction.
Okay.
And a likely one.
You're hoping for gridlock.
Well, likely that's what's going to happen. Since the president is the commander in chief, you probably won't have as many terrorists created in the Middle East by Bernie Sanders, and he probably won't get what he wants. It'll just be a bunch of Democrats crying about the Republicans never let us do what we want to do. It's a do-nothing Congress, and the Republicans will just keep on trying to pass something that tries to undo Obamacare when they know Sanders isn't going to sign it. So it's just going to be the same thing over and over again.
Do you really believe in the end that Bernie Sanders won't be poking his nose into any other countries? I mean, Obama said that too, and he's pretty much carried on the Bush plan for Iraq, which
I would say Obama.
I don't think Bernie Sanders is some sort of dove or anything like that.
I don't think he is either. I didn't make that claim, and I won't make the claim that Bernie Sanders is not going to bomb any countries at all. I will, however, make the claim that Donald Trump, with the nuclear football, is frightening as hell. I think that guy might actually use it. So, and yeah, I think McCain was a worse choice than Obama when it comes to war, considering he was quoted as saying bomb Iran. Yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a difference when it comes to the commander-in-chief role of the presidency. Am I advocating for Bernie Sanders? Only if you're a registered Democrat.
Well, you say you're afraid you could push the finger on the football, but in a sense, don't you need a president who's willing to do it if necessary?
No.
I mean, that's
no
matter
no,
what. No matter, even if they launch 15 nukes at us, you would not respond.
Well, if they launch 15 nukes at us, what difference does it make whether we nuke them back?
So you just take it and
the whole world's blown up if they launch 15 nukes.
But if that was a policy and everybody knew that,
I get where you're coming
then
from.
There would be no fear of.
As president, I would not turn over the nuclear football to the nearest insane asylum and hope that those people treated it well.
Okay, how about him? How about him or Hillary Clinton?
Who? Trump or Hillary Clinton?
Trump or Hillary?
Yeah, I'll just stay home.
Hillary?
I'll go buy myself a milkshake.
Well, there are other choices for president. There is going to be a Libertarian presidential candidate. So
and that's
it's
who
a
I'll
false
vote for in the
choice
general.
To say that it's going to be Trump versus Hillary or Trump versus Sanders. There's always going to be another choice, one that you won't have to feel dirty about choosing. I think they're all bad news. And I do agree with you, Mark and Gamma Blast, that I do like that, in the beginning when I first heard that Trump was the one guy on stage to what did he raise his hand when he was the only one on stage who would refuse to? I think they'd asked if he didn't win the primary, would he pledge that he wouldn't run as an independent? He wouldn't pledge that. He was the one who didn't seem to be going along with the party line, and so I have some respect for him because he does say what he wants to say, but what comes out of his mouth is absolutely insane. I mean, I'm glad you actually called about this, Gamma, because I didn't think
That's good. We want to support politicians who say what they believe in and don't
No, I don't want to support someone who's. No,
I don't even know that he believes this stuff.
I don't have to support someone who says what they want, because if they're saying what they want and I don't agree with it, then no, I don't have to support that, and I don't want that.
I don't mean support, vote for him. I just mean appreciate that he's not poll testing everything he says and changing back and rearranging the words to try to say the same thing in a different way.
No doubt.
I
mean,
that's
he
not
seems.
really what I said. I really said this.
He seems to be more, he seems to be more earnest or whatever than some of his competitors.
I disagree. I mean, this is a guy who donated to Hillary Clinton's campaigns. He also, if you listen to his policies, he's not just, I hate Mexicans and I hate Muslims. He's also about all kinds of big government programs. He's just about spend, spend, spend. We're gonna build ourselves a new, better nation. He's the scariest one out there, as far as I'm concerned.
Besides the wall, what's he want to spend money on? I never heard anything.
The military. He's a huge military fanatic.
There's more than that. I think he wants the single-payer health care plan, too, as I recall.
Yeah, he did seem to support that at one time.
Yeah, well, he's still supporting it.
Here's the clip that we didn't have last night when we were talking about Donald Trump wanting to close down the internet. Somebody has cut that out, and they've made it into a 30-second clip. Because last night I was saying, well, we don't have the context. We're not exactly sure what he said. But it is actually pretty much everything that we said last night. This is it all is an excerpt from his speech. Here it is. This is where...
A lot of people because of the internet. And we have to do something. We have to go see Bill Gates and a lot of different people that really understand what's happening. We have to talk to them, maybe in certain areas, closing that internet up in some way. Somebody will say, oh, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. These are foolish people. We have a lot of foolish people. We have a lot of foolish people. We've got to maybe do something with the internet because they are recruiting by the thousands.
Yeah. So, these other guys aren't going to say that same stuff. Now, they may agree with him, the other politicians. They may want to do those things. And I guess that's what you're saying, is at least Trump's honest about it.
If you want more terrorists, vote for Trump, because that's what he's going to do.
Gamma Blast, thanks for your call. I appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The man's a nut job, and it's fascinating to watch a nut job, but that's about it. He's scary. Of course, so are the others. It's Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Concerned about harmful contaminants in your water? Look to ProPure, the most trusted name in gravity water filtration systems. ProPure, with the silver-infused Pro 1 G2.0 filter, removes over 200 contaminants, including VOCs, heavy metals, chloramines, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, fluorides, and radiologicals. We don't just say it, we back it up. The Pro 1 G2.0 filter is NSF 42 certified and independently tested to meet NSF 53 and P231 standards. Pro Pure Water, the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. Purchase with confidence in quality, performance, and customer service. Take advantage of our biggest holiday 25% off sale going on now. Visit your authorized Pro Pure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com. Or call 800-544-3533. 800-544-3533.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. Join us here, toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And with you in studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
We've got a website. It's freetalklive.com. The features there are totally free, so please enjoy those on us, freetalklive.com. Coming up, the Liberty Forum it's not quite right around the corner, but before you know it, it will be. About 2 months away at this point, February 18th through the 21st. That's going to be happening in Manchester, New Hampshire at the Radisson Hotel. Edward Snowden. That's right, the Edward Snowden. The infamous NSA secrets leaker, he's going to be virtually at the Liberty Forum. He will not be able to appear in person due to the U.S. government on a worldwide manhunt for him, and they're going to arrest him if he sets foot inside the United States. So we're going to have him at the Liberty Forum via video conference, meaning that he will, I believe, be taking questions from the audience. And I'm sure he'll have interesting things to say because he's Edward Snowden, and pretty much everything that comes out of his mouth is worth listening to from what I've seen so far. So I'm excited that he's going to be attending as one of the keynote speakers at the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. You can join us. There's going to be a bunch more speakers that have yet to be announced. Get your tickets now at nhlibertyforum.com. It's February 18th through the 21st. It's a Thursday through Sunday. It's a great weekend to spend with hundreds of liberty-minded folks. Look, Ed Snowden's great and all, but the real reason to come to Liberty Forum is freedom-loving people, people who understand liberty, many of them who've already moved to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project. Most of the people attending have not yet moved. They are people who are visiting. They want to see what it's like. They want to see what New Hampshire's like in the heart of winter time, because that's when this is happening. So come on up and join us. Go to nhlibertyforum.com. Oh, and yeah, we'll be broadcasting live throughout the event every night. Free Talk Live is going to be live. So we'll look forward to seeing you there as we go to your calls and thoughts. Let's go first. We got Jim listening in Minnesota in Hibbing to WNMT. Hey, Jim.
Hi.
Hey.
How's it going tonight?
Good. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, I'm getting a little tired of the name calling that goes on. We've got a local paper that's pretty left-leaning, and I like to read it just to get that viewpoint, and I like to hear the right viewpoint, but I'm in the middle, and I'm kind of fed up with all of it. But the writers in there have resorted to this name-calling and making fun and mocking the other side. And to me, it kind of resembles somebody that wants to win the race by pulling down the leader instead of being the faster runner. And I just don't understand it. So at the end of the last section, the last thing I hear is that Donald Trump is a nutcase. Donald Trump is, if you believe in a free land where there's liberty and everybody has rights, Donald Trump has a right to have his opinions without being called a nutcase.
He has a right to have his opinions, but you can. But as someone who supports freedom of speech like I do, I have the right to call him whatever I want, and it's crazy to ban freedom of speech, which is what Donald Trump is plotting to do here. I don't know if you heard the clip that we played, but he wants to close down portions of the internet because he doesn't like it, because he says the internet's dangerous, and that you...
The way I actually interpreted what he said was that he would like to have the experts in the internet, Bill Gates and the brain powers like that, to try to help out the U.S. government, try to monitor some of the
No, he said close it down. He said he wanted to close it down. And then further, he even called names against the people who support freedom of speech. He said, "Oh, there's these people who'll say freedom of speech. These are foolish people," he says. So he says you're a fool if you support freedom of speech, sir.
If he does name calling, then it's okay for you to do name calling, and that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm tired of. Everybody thinks it's okay to do a bunch of name calling. And I don't think it makes anybody that throws those names around look any more intelligent than the person that they're calling those names. That's my viewpoint.
I get where you're coming from, but at some point or another, things get, they just get a little too scary. When I say that Donald Trump is the scariest person out there who's running for president, like that's what I mean. It's not intended to be name calling so much as it's expressing what my opinion is on the subject.
And when you express it like that, so that sounds like an intelligent person. When you call him the name calling, then that takes that away from me personally. That's my opinion.
So you support Donald Trump even though he calls people names?
Did I say I support Donald Trump?
I don't think he did.
Oh, you don't support Donald Trump?
I didn't think he said that he supported Donald Trump.
Oh,
I think he just doesn't particularly like name calling. What about fascist? A lot of people are calling Donald Trump a fascist, but I mean, fascist is a term with a definition, right?
Yeah, and I'm up on some of that a little bit, but not entirely. And there again, it's a name calling thing. I like to judge.
Well, there's a difference between calling somebody. There's a difference between calling someone a poopy head and then calling someone what they actually are, like an accurate term based on the words that are coming out of their mouth. If Donald Trump wants to censor the internet, then calling him a censor or a wannabe censor isn't name calling. That's just accurate, isn't it?
I think the way I understood what you read is that he wanted to shut down. It was a term
you already told us how you understood it. I was asking you if calling him a censor, is that name calling in your book?
Yeah, I don't consider what you said to be censorship. That's your interpretation of it. That's not my interpretation of it. My interpretation of it is that...
Well, then you are blind, sir, and that's not calling names. Thank you for the call tonight. Or deaf. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. When someone says that those advocates of free speech are fools, and then in the same breath has said that he wants to shut down the portions of the internet, that absolutely is censorship. There's no other way to interpret that. This man wants to shut down things that he thinks are dangerous, shut down channels on the internet where people could be radicalized. He's using the excuse of there's people out there recruiting on the internet. We need to shut it down. Screw your freedom of speech is what he says. He's a censor or a wannabe censor.
Well, I'll agree with you.
And that's not name calling. That's accurate.
Agree with you on that statement. I think the caller's best point was he just doesn't like the name calling. And
I got you there.
And I get where he's coming from. Ultimately, when you at some point or another, name calling is going to occur when people disagree with people. I mean,
calling him a sociopath isn't name calling either. That's an accurate statement about pretty much every politician.
I wouldn't entirely disagree, but sociopath's now an outdated term that the psychological community doesn't support. So you can essentially
that's news to me.
Call somebody a sociopath if they aspire to power over people and don't want responsibility for their actions and that sort of thing. Seem to be emotionless in the area of using power over people, that kind of thing. So you can just do that.
If I use some sort of term that was a generic name,
nut job, I believe is what.
Well, I think it is crazy. I think it is crazy to want to ban freedom of speech.
Is that ultimately at some point a sane, intelligent person can make a proposal that is so far abroad that the only thing somebody's going to say is that's nuts. Like I have called for opening the border of the United States so that labor can move freely across the border. Free people can move across borders of free countries freely. But people are going to say, that's nuts. I am not certifiably insane. So that statement would be name-calling, but people just react the way they react.
It's your interpretation. I think it's a legitimate interpretation of that person's opinions. It's not the same thing as saying he's a poopy head or that he is, ugly and, he looks like a butthole or something like that. Like, those things would be name-calling. I don't consider an opinion about that person's opinions to be name-calling. But, you can have your own interpretation. Let's continue here with Tim in Wyoming. Tim, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Welcome, sir. Go ahead.
It's good to talk with you. You're talking about Donald Trump. I think that, as I told a friend of mine, I may have said it to you guys too, but I think Donald Trump is essentially a placeholder until he drops out, and then Hillary will look like the only viable candidate because the rest of the Republicans are not going to say what he says. If he says something stupid and he seems to be self-destructing, I think that's also part of his plan. I think he's just there to hold the place for them. That's all it is.
Well, Hillary's having a hell of a time against Sanders. She's having a heck of a time against him. He's whooping her in New Hampshire and Iowa, the only places that matter right now. And
is he whooping her? I thought it was close.
He was previously.
Okay.
In my opinion, I would say that Bernie Sanders is. It's 6 of one or half a dozen of the other. You can vote for a total outright communist, or you can vote for a person who is an undercover communist. Choose whichever one you like, but one or the other. But Bernie Sanders is basically, he's literally running. He should just call himself a communist or call himself a statist. If people understood the term statist, they would understand he wants more government, he wants more control, he wants more power, and he wants
so do all of them. They're all statists. Even Rand Paul is a statist.
Well, I wouldn't say Rand Paul is as much of a statist as the rest.
Not as much, but he is still. And that's not name-calling either. That's an accurate assessment of these people. They support the existence of the state, and they don't want to abolish it. And most of them don't even want to make it any smaller. They love the state. Right. Hey, Tim, great call, man. Thanks for making it tonight. I appreciate it. Look, I don't agree with name-calling either, and I try to stay away from it myself. But I don't think calling someone a statist is a name call. That's an accurate assessment of what someone's beliefs are. 855-450-FREE if you support Donald Trump wanting to censor the internet. We'd love to hear from you. It's Free Talk Live.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with a click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but we'll hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, December 9th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.28 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,080 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $422. Antiwar.com reports pro-Saudi Yemeni leader Abdurabu Mansour Hadi has announced there will be a week-long ceasefire beginning on December 15th and going through December 21st, meant to coincide with planned UN peace talks. The Shiite Houthis have also agreed to the deal if the Saudi airstrikes stop as well. Ceasefires in Yemen are always a dicey proposition, and both sides are likely to be very tentative in the early hours. Hadi's faction captured the city of Aden, their temporary capital city, in July when they dishonored a week-long ceasefire in the first few hours. The last UN-brokered peace talks were a disastrous failure back in June when the two sides refused to even be in the same room. The only time the two sides were even face-to-face was when pro-Hadi delegates attacked a Houthi press conference, sparking a fistfight. We're unlikely to get any media coverage of a fistfight this time, however, as the UN has announced the talks will be held at a secret location, and neither the venue nor the details of the talks will be discussed publicly, saying at most official updates may be provided directly by the UN Special Envoy. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Supreme Court justices appeared reluctant on Tuesday to endorse a conservative challenge to the way Texas draws state legislative districts in a case that could shrink the political clout of Hispanics and boost the power of rural voters. It was not clear after an hour of oral arguments how the 9 justices would rule in a dispute that questions a process that all 50 states employ to create electoral districts using an area's total population as opposed to just eligible voters. The case is closely watched because of its potential to transfer influence from urban areas that tend to be racially diverse and favor Democrats to rural ones with predominantly white voters who often back Republicans. 2 Texas voters recruited by a conservative legal activist group contend that the process Texas uses to draw electoral districts violates a long-established legal principle of one person, one vote, endorsed by the Supreme Court in the 1960s. If their challenge succeeds, it would upend how voting maps are drawn around the country. Counting everyone and not just eligible voters boosts the electoral influence of locales typically urban with sizable populations of people ineligible to vote, including both legal and illegal immigrants as well as children. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. Antiwar.com reports in a 407-19 vote backed by the White House, the U.S. House of Representatives on Tuesday passed a bill aiming to restrict visa-free travel to the United States for anyone who has been to Iraq or Syria in the last 5 years. The visa waiver program covers 38 countries from which travelers can come to the United States for visits of 90 days or less without having a visa, so long as they have a passport and a round-trip ticket. In addition to restrictions on visitors who have been to Iraq or Syria, House leaders say this is likely just the first of a series of bills aimed at increasing restrictions on entry into the United States. One of a handful of opponents to the bill, Representative Keith Ellison of Minnesota, complained the focus should be on terrorists, not nation of origin, adding that the bill was overbroad and should include exceptions for journalists and researchers who have been to Iraq or Syria. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
The Tallahassee Zoo, which faced a major budget crisis. Luckily, they were able to get both, keep guests and animals happy and stay profitable.
And that's thanks to the zoo's new director, Maxwell Jeffries.
Happy to be here, thank you.
Good morning.
Now, what's the most profitable part of the zoo? The elephants, the tigers?
No, the gift shop, okay? Food court. But now the entire zoo is the gift shop. So you come to the zoo, you look around, you see something you like, make me an offer. I'm a businessman. I want to make people happy. You're probably familiar with the old saying, don't feed the animals.
Oh, right, of course.
Okay, well, that's old-fashioned thinking. At our zoo, you can feed the animals.
Anything you want?
Anything you want. Oats, eggs, batteries, you name it. And we also invented a new tiered membership system. So for your standard membership, you go to the zoo, you get to see the animals. For your gold level membership, you get to pick any two animals, make them fight each other. Yeah, and then with a platinum, you get 1 hour alone in the zoo. No questions asked. Yeah.
Wow.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you're invited to join us right here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. With you in the studio tonight, Ian here.
And Mark.
We've got a website. It's freetalklive.com. Please enjoy the features you'll find there, totally free. Once again, freetalklive.com. Donald Trump, once again, on the minds of some of our callers here on Free Talk Live tonight. I had some Donald Trump-related stuff in show prep tonight. Really wasn't planning on getting to it because, well, we already talked about him last night. But it is an open phone show, so when you call in, you bring something up, we'll talk about it. And so I'm fully prepared to talk more about Donald Trump here tonight, including an interview with Barbara Walters, where he once again backs up his view that people who are Muslims should be prohibited from being able to come into the United States. And further, he says some more ridiculous things. We'll play some of that here. It's only about a 2-minute long clip. We'll play some of that in just a moment. But going to your calls and thoughts first, let's go to Andy. He's in Lubbock, Texas. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Andy.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Welcome. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, no, it really doesn't matter who's the president. I just think the whole presidential election is just a distraction. I mean, Donald Trump is the bigwig right now running through, and he's making all these comments. He's drawing a lot of attention to himself. And meanwhile, what's the left hand doing? So, I mean, I find it amazing that you guys have to have a free state project. I find it amazing that we have to have these freedom seminars, that we have to do all this stuff for freedom when our government swore to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution, which means defend our freedom and make us more freer, if anything. And they're doing the exact opposite. And there hasn't been a president in recent history that has done anything to make our freedom more free. I mean,
agreed.
It just blows my mind that we waste our time on so much garbage when we can't get to the RIP project. We should have already marched on Washington, D.C.
Brother, that ain't going to do anything.
Yeah, I don't know the marching on Washington, D.C.
You're right. But I mean, that's the way I kind of feel acting out. It's just crazy that we are putting up with this stuff. And there's so many more of us that feel this way than there are the people enacting this tyranny on us.
Well, I'll agree with you on that. Unfortunately, most people who might agree with us are too cowardly to actually stand up and do something about it like you're suggesting. So that's why we need to get the very small portion of people who are willing to actually stand for liberty to move together to the same place so we can be more free. And you're right. I share the same frustrations, man. I didn't want to move out of Florida. I enjoyed my life down there just fine. But it's not getting more free there, and it's not getting more free.
That's my point.
And I put effort into making more freedom down in Florida, but it went nowhere. Because most people don't want freedom. They're not interested in freedom. They're interested in controlling their neighbors. And until people can come to the conclusion that in order to be free, if that's what they really want, and I'm not convinced everyone wants it, but for those
I'm with you on that one.
Right, for those that do want freedom for themselves, the thing that they're hung up on, many of them, is the idea that, well, I can have freedom for me. I need to be free, but it's those weird people down the street with the multiple partners, or it's those weird people down the street that raise their kid in a way that I wouldn't raise their kid, or whatever. They shouldn't have freedom. They should be restricted. Or those Muslims, they should be restricted. So they can't. If you can't.
For everybody.
Yeah, if you can't allow other people to be free, then you yourself do not deserve the freedom that you want.
Exactly.
That's the key.
This is why I listen to your program, man.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
I listen to your program.
Well, you
because
should join the
guys-
Free
you
State
guys-
Project. You sound like the right kind of guy for it, and I appreciate your time, Andy. Thanks for making the call tonight. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's the key. And maybe we don't point it out enough, but look, if you want to be free, you have to allow others to be free. If you're spending your time advocating for how somebody else should be controlled, then don't be surprised when that somebody else or somebody else entirely decides to spend some time advocating how you should be controlled. And so this is
That's
what
the
we
way
have.
it goes, right? Like that's what democracy is all about. We all tell each other what we can do, and we have a boring, homogenized, vanilla way of doing things where we subsidize more, incompetence, and we bang down all the people that try to succeed. We hate those rich people, which rich wealth is in many ways an indicator of success. Certainly, in many cases, an indicator of a very bad sort of success. But in many cases, it's also an indicator of a really great form of success. If you provide a good or a service to people successfully, and you compensate your employees well, and you're going to be wealthy. If you're unsuccessful at it, well, then you're not going to do so well. And if you're, a politician that taxes everybody and uses the money to promote your campaign, that sort of thing, well, you're probably going to do pretty well too.
Yeah, so the secret to being more free is to allow others to be free. And that's the kind of people we want to come to New Hampshire, the people who understand that. Because, who was giving this example? I think it was maybe Jim Babka or no, Michael Cloud. Well, anyway, one of these great libertarian authors in the past had pointed out that there's these people who are like libertarian except one issue.
Yeah.
And so there's like, I love liberty, but I want to control the border, or I love liberty, but. And then what happens is if somebody like that were to actually get elected, then they would spend their time on the but. They'd spend their time on the one thing that they think the government should do better. I love liberty, but darn it, we need a government to protect ourselves. So when Donald Trump was being interviewed by Alex Jones, I actually watched or listened to the interview just out of curiosity. It's Alex Jones. Want to hear what he asked Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was actually asked by Alex Jones what he thinks about libertarians. And Trump's answer was something to the effect of, well, I like that the libertarians want a lot less government. I agree with them on that. But I love the military, and I know that we need the government to protect us. So somebody like that isn't going to get into office and repeal a bunch of government. They're going to spend a bunch more money on improving, or, their vision of improving, making a larger and more bureaucratic the government's military. And that's not going to reduce the government at all. And that's why for all the talk about smaller government from, let's say, these Republican candidates, you don't see a shred of smaller government. It's always getting bigger. Under the Bush administration, some fool, Trent Lott or something like that, came out and said, well, we've slashed government to the bone.
Yeah. That's what occurred.
Government didn't get smaller.
I don't remember what it was,
ever.
2005, and the Republicans had been in charge for
a few years
of the White House, the House, and the Senate for since 2000, and
slashed it
2001.
to the bone.
And they had slashed it to to the bone by growing it more than Bill Clinton had it at the time.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
It's just, yeah. I'm sorry.
So, these people, you can't trust them as far as you can throw them. And I'm including Rand Paul in all this, by the way, who has now come out and has revealed his plan. He's put in some kind of legislation. Now, he's not as bad as Donald Trump, but, so Rand Paul doesn't want to ban someone from the U.S. because of their religion. He's good on that point, but he also wants to ban people from 34 countries from coming here. And he's saying that, there's high risk of terrorism from people coming from 34 countries, so we'll just put a moratorium on people being able to immigrate here from those countries.
His dad wasn't really any better on this particular issue. He wanted to shut down the border in the same way. When it comes to immigration, the Pauls, the Libertarians, the Rothbards, the Rockwellians, there are plenty of Libertarians that are not particularly good on this issue.
I didn't hear Ron Paul ever call for a border enforcement crackdown.
He said that it had to wait until we had taken care of the welfare state.
He said that repealing the border restrictions would have to wait, but I don't recall him calling for a crackdown. Don't recall that.
There already is a crackdown. Doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
The crackdown's already in place.
Well, Rand Paul is a shadow of his father. He's not even close. Let's go to Will on the line. on Skype. Will, you're on Free Talk Live.
What is up, guys? How are we doing tonight?
Good. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, I love the fact that, you guys provide this awesome service so that, people can call in with great news and good news. And I guess a couple of days ago, we called in and we talked about how a group of Muslims had raised about $30,000 in order to supplement the incomes of the victims of the San Bernardino shootings. And now that effort, in about 126 hours, has raised $150,000.
It's not bad.
Donated for Muslims around the country. If anybody wants to get involved, you can go to launchgood.com and look for the Muslims United for San Bernardino link. Click, make a donation.
All right, stand by, Will. I presume you had something else you might have wanted to discuss. It's the toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Or not. You can call in about anything you want. This is Free Talk Live.
Bloated belly? Gas? Acid reflux? You could have pounds of rotting, rancid, toxic gunk clogging up your gut right now. And with all the processed food we're exposed to today, it's no wonder why. Fortunately, there's New Biotics, our first ever gunk buster for cleansing that toxic gunk out of your body. And right now, we're giving away a free trial to anyone who calls the following toll-free number, 1-800-983-2573. Strict limit of 1 free trial per household. With pounds of toxic gunk clogging up your gut, it's no wonder you don't feel good. Made with natural ingredients, New Biotics is our first ever gunk buster scientifically designed to unclog your gut and cleanse that gunk from your body, flattening your belly and combating periodic bloating, excess gas, heartburn, and acid reflux. But hurry, call now for your free trial of New Biotics while we're still giving it away for free. 1-800-983-2573. Call now for details. 1-800-983-2573. That's 1-800-983-2573.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
Do you know the difference between erudite and pedantic? If you do, you're probably pedantic. But seriously, a surprising number of erudite people mispronounce erudite, which has 3 syllables, not 4. Say erudite, not erudite. Because you are judged by how you speak, you want to avoid common misstatements, especially if you're a job seeker. For instance, do you know the difference between imply and infer? Only a speaker can imply, only a listener can infer. And when you say you'll be out of pocket, do you mean out of touch? Out of pocket means you're on your own dime, not yet reimbursed. And if anyone ever asks, why do you always answer a question with a question? You should reply, do I do that? Just kidding. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
Why are you playing a slot machine sound for an online poker site?
Do you have a poker sound effect? Because we have a new advertiser, swcpoker.eu.
Brought to you by the same guys that did seals with clubs.
Now they're called swcpoker.eu. It's Bitcoin Poker 2.0. They have lots of new games, including Chinese poker. The Krill leaderboard is active now. It's Bitcoin Poker from the brand you trust, swcpoker.eu.
Get on over to swcpoker.eu and start playing now.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Right here, you may dial in toll-free to bring up anything you want. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Maybe somebody ought to buy Rand Paul a copy of Immigration, Individual versus National Borders, since he doesn't really seem to understand the ideas of liberty, at least in that particular area. He may be better than some of the rest of the Republican candidates, but that's about all you can say that's good about him, in my opinion. Austrian economists like Hoppe and Rothbard, or Hoppe, adopted in their writings a position against open borders that many libertarians take, I think confusedly. David Hathaway's got a new book out, Immigration, Individual versus National Borders, and it takes apart those arguments against open borders while still supporting the position that an individual property owner has the absolute right to exclude or invite anyone onto their property. You can get your copy of Immigration, Individual versus National Borders right now through Amazon. And if you want to get it through Amazon, go through shop.freetalklive.com so Free Talk Live gets a cut of the sale. And you can also buy it in print or its Kindle form. So your choice. It's Immigration, Individual versus National Borders, written by David Hathaway.
I intend to vote for the president that I believe is most likely to tell me the truth about aliens.
Huh?
Well, I mean, like they'd know if the aliens had been here, right?
The president?
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
How would someone who just got elected know that?
Well, you can ask. You're the president then.
I see what you're saying. Well, that's an interesting thing to say, Mark. Let's go on here with a different Mark in Cincinnati. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys. A couple things. One, I think that Rand Paul would do well to listen to Scott Horton. Side issue.
Yeah, Scott's been railing on him, and deservedly so.
Yeah, it's been pretty brutal but fun to watch. The thing about Trump, and I just thought I'd mention that, is that his ascendancy is not surprising to anybody who's been paying attention to foreign policy. I mean, this is a guaranteed result of decades of foreign interventionism. And I believe that, once all the antecedents have been truncated, my apologies to Dr. Higgs, all the jingoistic and really unabashedly xenophobic Americans are left with is, democratic or demographics to exclude and supposedly quote unquote deserving targets,
So I'm sorry, demographics to exclude and people to target. Is that the idea here? So that the government essentially benefits from, finding scapegoats. Is that the claim?
Well, I think that the people that don't have the sufficient understanding of everything that the antecedents that have been truncated, I mean, of course they're going to believe that Trump represents them because they just live in fear. They're they're constantly in terror.
What is an antecedent that has been truncated?
Truncated is to cut short.
Well, let's just say like people that don't necessarily understand that drone strikes cause terrorism, for example. That terrorism is something that the U.S. government has caused through its interventions abroad.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that at all. So tell me one thing, though. You've been listening to a lot of Scott Horton. He does a great show on LRN.FM, Scott Horton Show. He used to be the host of Anti-War Radio before, unfortunately, Anti-War had to cut the budget and get rid of Anti-War Radio. But he's basically doing the same show. It's just called Scott Horton Show. And what are some of the things he's been saying about Rand Paul that are worth mentioning?
Well, one thing is that he's mentioned that Rand Paul has some exclusionary policies himself. Rand, I do believe, wants to exclude people based upon. I'm not sure I can answer that fully, but.
Okay, I figured you'd been listening to the show, so you might be able to highlight a couple things. Thanks for the call, Mark. I appreciate hearing from you. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
I realize that there isn't a perfect presidential candidate out there running. What I've decided is that, look, I can choose to either vote in a primary or not vote in a primary.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to vote in a primary, I get two primaries from which to choose. Democrat or Republican. Since I'm an elected Republican, and it would be pretty, bad for me to switch parties while I'm, holding office into Democrat and then switch back in order to be a Republican to continue holding office. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to vote for, and this is the one I would vote for anyway. I'm going to vote for the best Republican, and I think that's Rand Paul. Do you agree?
He's probably better than the other ones, but not by much. Let's continue here. We got Cody listening in Kentucky. You're on Free Talk Live. Probably not worth even going out to vote for, in my opinion. Go ahead, Cody. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. Thanks a lot for taking my call.
Thanks. Go ahead.
So basically, I'm at work right now, so I just kind of want to go ahead and lay out my premise, and then I'll let you guys discuss. I usually listen to the podcast, so I'll go ahead and hang up after.
All right, great.
Lay out my premise here. I wanted to discuss feminism, actually. I know
Feminism?
you guys talk, yes, sir.
Okay.
I know you guys talk on the air a lot about definitions of words and how, they're important. Particularly, I like a lot of what Mark has to say about anarchism and how it's kind of not worth those of us in the liberty movement to sort of try to fight and co-opt that word because it can mean so many different things to so many people. And I kind of feel the same way about feminism. And particularly with this sort of new wave of feminism, a lot of people kind of take it too far, I think. And, I've been fortunate to have strong female role models in my life. I grew up with Rosie the Riveter on my kitchen wall. For my mom, my wife is also considers herself a feminist. So I guess my question is, do you think that, like anarchism, feminism is sort of a lost word that we don't need to worry about co-opting? Because I think it's pretty reasonable to suspect that most people in the liberty movement probably support feminism on the basis of individualism, and that, regardless of what gender you are, we should all strive for gender equality. But because so many on the left particularly tend to take feminism a bit too far, I just wonder if that's something we should even worry about fighting that battle. Women are, half the voting public and over half the population, so, it seems to be a little bit more important in that way. But
I think
I just wanted to get your all's thoughts about that.
I think it's a more important word than anarchism. But I would tend to agree with you that I don't think that. Okay, so feminism is a fine idea if we're talking about should women have the right to vote? Absolutely. Should they be able to own property? Certainly they should. Should they be treated equally under the law? Absolutely, positively they should.
Thanks for the call.
Many of the things that are argued out there by the feminists appear to be either untrue or things that just are of little consequence. At this point, it seems like they've been relegated to you shouldn't call somebody a slut, and I don't think you should. National level politicians tend to be male, and that's bad. And, of course, but women, when they run for election, tend to get about a 3-point boost simply because they have 2 X chromosomes.
Governor of New Hampshire is female.
Which is unfair. As a matter of fact, in New Hampshire, just about like the senator, both senators, the governor, there's all over the place. This doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care about their gender. It's their policy that matters to me.
I tend to agree that saving feminism as a term is also a fruitless task.
Yeah, I think that if
Let's
feminism...
just talk about people and individuals.
I like individualism. I think that's something... Look, I'm not a feminist. I'm an individualist is the thing that somebody should respond with, because people will not say, well, you know what I hate? I hate individuality. It's a used-up term. Third-wave feminism seems a little nutty.
855-450-FREE is our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. We got the interview with Donald Trump and Barbara Walters coming up.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season. So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Free Talk Live.
The DEA doesn't dabble with users. They go after the big dogs.
Yeah, I'm certain they have dabbled with users, and they would if they thought they could get
DEA?
something. They would if they thought they could get somewhere with it.
Maybe a user who's snorting 3 pounds a week, something where they could actually connect to a player.
Yeah.
But most users are just buying from other users. I mean, in the cocaine world, when you are a user, you've got to support your habit somehow.
Right.
And if you're not willing to go and knock over convenience stores and break into people's cars and hurt people to get the cash for your habit, then the only other choice for you, if you're not wealthy, is to sell cocaine to others.
Right.
And so most people will go and pick up whatever amount of coke they do, and then they'll sell to certain specific people who are their friends. Like he was saying, he was selling to his neighbor across the street. The DEA is not going to mess with that.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is up $6 at $1,082 per ounce. Silver is 15 cents higher at $14.35 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $420 US. We have the lowest price Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You may join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. In the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
855-450-3733. We got the short clip from, I don't know how long the interview actually was, but it's Barbara Walters interviewing Donald Trump, and you get to hear Trump say some more ridiculous stuff. We'll play some of that here in a little bit. And you can join us online over at freetalklive.com. Please enjoy the features we have on the site there for you. You get to actually submit content to it, should you wish to do that. And then other listeners can vote on what you've submitted, whether they like or dislike it. And then we'll see every day what you think is interesting. Might talk about some of it on the radio. Of course, the best way to get your topic on the air with us is to call in toll-free at 855-450-FREE or Skype in at Skype username LRN.FM. Timothy is calling from Naples, Florida. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello, Timothy.
Hello, yes. Good evening, Ian and Mark.
Welcome.
Actually, what I wanted to bring up tonight was barter tax. And Actually, the reason I tuned into the show tonight was regarding the original story you were discussing regarding the Australian Bitcoin raid.
Yeah, there were, for listeners just tuning in, there was some news in Wired and Gizmodo online that claimed that they had unearthed the real Satoshi Nakamoto, maybe, and they named this guy as businessman and programmer in Australia, whose house was then subsequently raided the same day by the Australian tax authorities. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, and I had actually sent that story to a friend who had just gotten into Bitcoin mining about 3 months ago, and it's interesting because actually just last night I was telling him that I had just found out that Bitcoin mining is it's considered a taxable event in the U.S. And then lo and behold, you have this story today. But I was thinking about maybe two parallel hypothetical scenarios. One involving the barter tax. Are you familiar with the barter tax?
Yeah, I know that if you get something of a certain value or whatever, you have to claim that on as income on your IRS taxes.
I don't have to do anything. Screw them.
They believe,
they want you to.
They believe that you do. How's that?
It would seem to me that if I was bartering with someone, that's no one else's business but my own.
There are barter organizations.
And they report to the IRS,
like
don't they?
ITEX. ITEX is the biggest national one.
And they report, don't they?
Yeah, of course
that's
they do.
sad. But yeah, what about it, Tim? Or Timothy?
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, I'm somebody that I'm always trying to figure out how not to pay taxes. I've never been successful. I've always been an hourly worker. And only in the last few years have I begun actively trading Bitcoin. But up until recently, I'm like, I really haven't had much gain because I'm still a novice at trading. Anyway, a hypothetical situation where a person only barters and no dollars ever exchange, and all of their basically they're making their living bartering. I'm not saying that's a good or efficient thing to do, but basically they never have any dollars to pay taxes. And I guess I know what would happen. The United States, the IRS would either seize something or they would have to sell something in order to, assuming that they were compliant.
Mm-hmm.
And then the parallel hypothetical scenario to that is, and this is where it ties in with the story, if somebody is mining Bitcoin, let's say Satoshi Nakamoto, I mean, not that this guy's him, it's irrelevant, maybe this guy was doing it too. They've mined a lot of Bitcoin, and those Bitcoin have never left their wallet after mining. Now, mining is a taxable event, but they've never bought anything with it. I'm sure Australian tax code is a little bit different, and the way they treat Bitcoin for taxation purposes. But I guess the answer would be the same. The government would just either come in and seize the Bitcoin or seize some kind of property after they had assessed.
Yep. What if you mined gold in your backyard? Would they consider that a taxable event? I suspect
if you
they
told
would.
them about it, they probably would.
Well, that's
Don't
a
tell
lot of,
anybody about
That's a lot
this.
of the issue here is that they only have the evidence. They can only tax you for things they have evidence on.
Right.
Before I was filling out any of their tax forms that I'd been forced into or whatever, I'd want to know, what evidence do you have? And you've got a right to know what the evidence is that they have against you. So let's see that evidence first before we go filling out any forms, rather than just having me report stuff to you. How about some evidence?
Well, by its nature, when you create a Bitcoin wallet with the Bitcoin software, it doesn't report that to anyone. So the only way the IRS or the Australian tax authority would know that anyone has any Bitcoin is if they told them or publicly pronounced or promoted their Bitcoin address. But by default, if you create a Bitcoin address with the Bitcoin Core or Bitcoin XT software, no one knows that you have that address. I mean, so you just kind of keep it to yourself, and then there's ways to sort of deal with that Bitcoin afterwards that can keep it off the radar as well. So I don't think people should really even worry about this stuff. Personally, if you're a Bitcoin user, just don't tell the government. It's none of their business.
Yeah, and one last follow-up thought, and then I'll go ahead and drop off the line here. As of now, in the last few years, Bitcoin's adoption Bitcoin has mainly been a payment system rather than a currency that everyone, I'm making dollars at work, I'm not. But what happens when suddenly the grocery store accepts Bitcoin? People are getting paid in Bitcoin. It's such a common payment system that it suddenly transitions into the actual currency. And at that point, people are not actually trading them into dollars because it's no longer efficient. And then
you're talking about a situation where, which many Bitcoiners would love to see happen, where Bitcoin becomes the standard, where prices are listed in Bitcoin as well as dollars or something like that, instead of people listing their Bitcoin price in a dollar price. So that would
I think we're a ways off until national currencies, disappear. And in a given geographic area, you're likely to see people still continuing to use whatever nationalized currency they have, and likely that Bitcoin will be priced in that currency rather than that currency priced in Bitcoin. I think we're a ways off.
I love the idea of that day, though. I mean, I hope we see it sometime in our lifetime. I think that would be absolutely wonderful. But there would have to be a lot that would change in order for us to get there. And thank you, Timothy. I appreciate the call tonight. We're a ways, I agree, away from anything close to that happening. If you could even if you wanted to have a Bitcoin price on a shelf, at this point, you'd have to have it be electronic prices. And some stores have this. I believe Kohl's is one of them. They actually have electronic price tags that I think are Wi-Fi based, so they can update. It makes it easy to do the sale, right? Like, so if you're going to run a sale, I remember when I used to work at Kmart in the late 1990s, when it was time to prepare for the sale it starts Sunday or whatever. I forget which day it was.
You have to run around
But yeah, you've literally got to print out. You have these printouts of these sale sheets with the price tags on them. And you cut them out, and then you put the price tags up on the shelf where the sale is happening. And then at the end of the week, got to remember to take them down. If you don't take one down, and then a customer shows up the next day and says, "Hey, this is supposed to be on sale," when they're checking out, you're like, "No, it's not." Then they show you the price on the shelf. Well, guess I got to give you the sale price because we've got to take it down. If you do an electronic sale system or electronic pricing system, then all you got to do is update the price in the computer, and then it just updates all the prices in the store.
Bingo, boingo,
Bang,
it's all
done.
changed. Yeah.
And so with electronic pricing or with electronic signage, then you could really have like a Bitcoin price point. Of course, it could also change by the time you get to the front register, technically, so that would be a little bit weird. I don't know exactly how you'd iron out those bugs, but I'm sure the market would figure out a way to do that. Hopefully we'll see that at some point becoming more common, because then we'd be hitting like the crossover point where things on a shelf would be priced in both dollars and Bitcoin. That would be an interesting thing to see. And there may be some businesses that are already doing that, but they're probably few and far between. Go learn more about Bitcoin over at Bitcoin.com. It's a decentralized currency. It's not created by any business, any bank, any government, but yet it's used by thousands of businesses all around the globe. It's an amazing thing, and the more people that use it, the closer we'll get to a more Bitcoin-based economy, which I think would be an incredible thing. But maybe it won't end up being Bitcoin that takes us there. Maybe something else will arise.
You never know.
And take it over. But right now, my money's on Bitcoin. It's Free Talk Live. More about Donald Trump and the new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the new Healing Our World is a great gift this Christmas for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Did you know that home break-ins increase more than 100% during the holidays? It takes just 10 seconds for an intruder to kick in your door, but police response to a home alarm system is more than 20 minutes, and intruders are in and out of your home in 5 minutes. Thieves know that you're not home and have presents inside just waiting to be taken. And if you are home, how safe will you feel with an intruder lurking inside with your family? That's why police across the country are recommending you use door armor. Proven to withstand the force of a battering ram, door armor keeps intruders out. It's easy to install and barely visible, and your door armor is guaranteed for life. Go to InvasionStopper.com for a very special buy one, get one at half off deal. These savings are for a limited time and only available to GCN listeners. Protect your valuables and loved ones this holiday season. Go to InvasionStopper.com now. That's InvasionStopper.com.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45 non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50 non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-872-0403, 800-872-0403, 800-872-0403.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
There comes a time when you need custom embroidered or screen printed apparel for your business, organization, or a special event. Corporate Casuals has been helping people create great looking logoed apparel for over 25 years. They can produce a single piece or thousands using name brand apparel like Nike, Patagonia, Adidas, and Hanes. Create your logo in their online embroidery design studio or upload your existing logo and they'll turn it into embroidery. Go to corporatecasuals.com/FTL and include FTL in the order notes and save 5% on your order.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us toll free right here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. The Skype username is LRN.FM. And a lot of people talking about Donald Trump, for better or for worse, and mostly for worse. There's really not much to like about the guy, except for the fact that he seems to be at least forthcoming with being willing to say things that other people aren't willing to say, even if they are psychopathic, insane things that will destroy freedom. Like the idea of shutting down portions of the internet and basically being a censor toward the internet. That was some of his more recent comments. He also commented recently that he wants to stop all Muslims from coming into the country across the United States. That was a pretty disturbing statement. And Barbara Walters recently interviewed him about that. We have the clip from Mediaite.com. Here it is, and he says some pretty ridiculous things. So for your entertainment, which is pretty much what Trump seems to be, although he does have a surprising amount of supporters, here it is.
Ban on Muslims, which some people think is un-American.
Not at all. We have to do the right thing. Somebody in this country has to say what's right. I have great respect and love. I have people that I have tremendous relationships with. They're Muslim. And Barbara, they agree with me 100%.
Uh-huh. So he wants to ban all Muslims from coming into the country, and on the same hand, at the same time, is saying that he's got good buddies who are real close to him who are Muslims who agree completely with that.
Well, I mean, it could very well be the case. Are there Muslims out there that want to ban all Muslims from coming to the United States?
Maybe they're self-hating Muslims or something like that.
I mean, I don't really know how to address it. It seems like there's certainly
ridiculous.
Whatever the claim is, there's always somebody out there.
It's short term. let our country get its act together.
Right. So that's going to happen, right? Because all these government programs are short-term. Can you name any government programs for me that have been short-term?
It's kind of the opposite. Yeah, sure, there have been some short-term government programs.
Go ahead and name one.
The Japanese internment program. How's that? There you go. Well, I mean, it's probably the very best example in this circumstance. Yes, it was temporary.
A total violation of people's human rights.
It certainly was, but temporary nonetheless.
And unacceptable as well. Look, this isn't going to be short-term. If something like this were to go into play, the country isn't going to get itself into shape anytime soon, even if Donald Trump gets elected, because as you pointed out, Mark, there's likely going to be gridlock. You know, you've got these politicians, they always claim they can't get done what they want to do because of the other party who's in whatever political power that they're in the House or the Senate, and so therefore I had all these great plans, America, but unfortunately that other party has been flummoxing all of our plans, and so we're just going to
always goes.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait this one out, and then maybe you can elect more of our party at the next election. And, of course, freedom ends up losing in a lot of cases because there's certain bipartisan issues where both sides agree that more freedom should be destroyed. And so over time, we still tend to lose freedom.
Even when there's gridlock, the politicians can agree to take away your freedoms.
I mean, he's acting like he's just going to stop Muslims from coming into the country. It's only temporary. We're just going to clean house here. We're going to dust over here and vacuum here. And then, poof, government's going to be all cleaned up and good again. And we'll just start letting them back in.
Once Donald Trump is president, then government will be good again.
That's what he says. Let me continue with the interview.
They knocked down the World Trade Center. They tried doing it twice. Other things have happened. They have there are people that have tremendously bad intentions. We have to be tough. We have to be smart, and we have to be vigilant.
To say they did the World Trade Center, to say they did these various violent things, is to group all Muslims together. And to say they shouldn't be able to come here to the United States is to do the same thing, to treat all Muslims as though they are equivalent to the violent fanatics. And that is obviously not true. There's plenty of evidence for it. The evidence is that most Muslims are not violent. They're not conducting violence. They're not in the plotting phases of conducting violence. They are peaceful people who, many of them are interested in, promoting their religion, but otherwise doing it on a peaceful basis.
Right, and I'm not particularly interested in their religion. What I'm concerned with is that in an America where you can say, all right, we're going to stop this sort of person from doing this sort of thing, you're in bad shape. Traditionally, when the government has singled out a particular group, an ethnicity or a religion, and afforded them fewer rights than other ethnicities and religions, things have gone catastrophically wrong. And this is why the term fascist gets thrown around at Donald Trump, because this is to some extent a fascist proposal. Now, you may like the proposal, you may dislike the proposal, but please understand, fascism was damn popular in 1930. And from the turn of the century to the 1930s, it was popular. Some guy kills off, and his government kills off 6 million Jews, and then it gets less popular. Well, now we have to trot it around with another term. It's kind of like socialism calling itself progressivism or liberalism. It's the same stuff. It's just a different term. So I don't know what terminology one wants to use to talk about Donald Trump, but I prefer to, I'd just call him a right populist, as opposed to
what is short term?
Bernie, who's a left
populist. It could be very quickly if our country could get its act together. We have a president that doesn't have a clue. We don't know what's happening. We need toughness and smartness, and we have to do it quickly.
Okay, he doesn't have a clue. We need toughness and smartness. I mean, this is like, he's very good at this I'm not going to answer questions thing. What does this clean up the country thing look like, Donald?
Well, she said, how long is that going to be?
Yeah,
it could be very quick, he says.
Yeah, well, it could be quick.
Going to get it cleaned up.
It's just like Iraq. It was going to be quick.
Yeah.
Party who think that ISIS is going to like your rhetoric, that your words are putting us in greater danger.
And the worst thing that's ever happened to ISIS, the people in my party fully understand that, They're running against me. For the most part, they have no poll numbers. I'm leading by a lot.
Did he just say he's the worst thing that's ever happened to ISIS?
He's basically, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought
the
he
worst
said.
thing, yeah.
They get it. They're trying to get publicity for themselves. You know, when I came out against illegal immigration, everybody fought the same thing. 2 weeks later, everybody was on my side, including the members of my own party.
Are you a bigot?
Not at all. Probably the least of anybody you've ever met.
Because?
Because I'm not. I'm a person that has common sense. I'm a smart person. I know how to run things. I know how to make America great again. This is about making America great again.
You know, you got to give him credit for getting back on his campaign platform.
He
there,
pounds those same little nails over and over again. I'm smart. We're gonna get America great again. I mean, is America the exceptional, the best country in the world? Is American exceptionalism true, or do we need to make America great again? Because this is kind of the Republican conundrum. It's either the greatest country in the world, or we need to make it great again. It's not both.
Bigotry, stubborn and complete intolerance of any creed, belief, or opinion that differs from one's own. I guess you could argue that by wanting to prevent all Muslims from coming to the United States, that you're not necessarily a
He's
bigot.
not disallowing the Zoroastrians because he's fine with them. So since he doesn't disallow all of them, he's not a bigot. No, I disagree. That's not the way the word is used.
Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Donald Trump is actually going to be in New Hampshire on Friday. And as far as from what I understand, there's going to be a decent crew of some liberty activists.
Is he giving away free things?
I suspect he's just talking.
Then why would you go?
I'm not going personally. Okay. It's too far for me to drive to the seacoast, but there's liberty activists who will be attending to protest Donald Trump, and that's a good reason to go, to get maybe some media coverage, to try to bring some attention to how this man is not a fan of freedom and is not going to increase any chance at achieving liberty in our lifetime. So I'm glad to see that Christopher David, who is also the chief operator over at Free Uber, is going to be heading this one up. He is just an activist with a whole lot of excitement. I think he's really enthusiastic. He's got a lot of energy, and he's doing a lot of good work.
He just got started, too. He was basically not an activist until the government came after him for driving an Uber. And then,
well, he was an activist. He just wasn't a known activist. So, for instance, Chris, I actually met him first at a Bitcoin testimony hearing at the State House. He was there testifying, and he and I met, and he asked me for a copy of the video of his testimony that he was giving. So he was doing activism before that.
But when he was on the air with us, he said he really hadn't done anything before that.
Okay, well, maybe he meant visible activism that was, really particularly newsworthy. The whole Free Uber thing definitely propelled him into the spotlight, and he's been doing some great work. So we'll keep you informed on what happens when Donald Trump visits New Hampshire. It should be interesting. And also, I hear Rand Paul's coming to New Hampshire on Friday as well. Maybe I'll get a chance to question him about his wanting to keep people out of the country. We'll see you tomorrow night. Online in the meantime at freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Cryptocurrency and peer-to-peer tech developments happen fast. Stay in the loop with the Daily Decrypt, a new video channel and podcast that will keep you on top of the latest innovations in crypto finance, security, networking, transportation, and gadgetry like drones and 3D printers. Subscribe to the Daily Decrypt on YouTube and SoundCloud and be an early adopter of the future. The Daily Decrypt.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Cop Block Radio is up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, December 9th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.28 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,080 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $422. Antiwar.com reports pro-Saudi Yemeni leader Abdurabu Mansour Hadi has announced there will be a week-long ceasefire beginning on December 15th and going through December 21st, meant to coincide with planned UN peace talks. The Shiite Houthis have also agreed to the deal if the Saudi airstrikes stop as well. Ceasefires in Yemen are always a dicey proposition, and both sides are likely to be very tentative in the early hours. Hadi's faction captured the city of Aden, their temporary capital city, in July when they dishonored a week-long ceasefire in the first few hours. The last UN-brokered peace talks were a disastrous failure back in June when the two sides refused to even be in the same room. The only time the two sides were even face-to-face was when pro-Hadi delegates attacked a Houthi press conference, sparking a fistfight. We're unlikely to get any media coverage of a fistfight this time, however, as the UN has announced the talks will be held at a secret location, and neither the venue nor the details of the talks will be discussed publicly, saying at most official updates may be provided directly by the UN Special Envoy. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Supreme Court justices appeared reluctant on Tuesday to endorse a conservative challenge to the way Texas draws state legislative districts in a case that could shrink the political clout of Hispanics and boost the power of rural voters. It was not clear after an hour of oral arguments how the 9 justices would rule in a dispute that questions a process that all 50 states employ to create electoral districts, using an area's total population as opposed to just eligible voters. The case is closely watched because of its potential to transfer influence from urban areas that tend to be racially diverse and favor Democrats to rural ones with predominantly white voters who often back Republicans. 2 Texas voters recruited by a conservative legal activist group contend that the process Texas uses to draw electoral districts violates a long-established legal principle of one person, one vote, endorsed by the Supreme Court in the 1960s. If their challenge succeeds, it would upend how voting maps are drawn around the country. Counting everyone and not just eligible voters boosts the electoral influence of locales typically urban with sizable populations of people ineligible to vote, including both legal and illegal immigrants as well as children. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. Antiwar.com reports in a 407-19 vote backed by the White House, the U.S. House of Representatives on Tuesday passed a bill aiming to restrict visa-free travel to the United States for anyone who has been to Iraq or Syria in the last 5 years. The visa waiver program covers 38 countries from which travelers can come to the United States for visits of 90 days or less without having a visa, so long as they have a passport and a round-trip ticket. In addition to restrictions on visitors who have been to Iraq or Syria, House leaders say this is likely just the first of a series of bills aimed at increasing restrictions on entry into the United States. One of a handful of opponents to the bill, Representative Keith Ellison of Minnesota, complained the focus should be on terrorists, not nation of origin, adding that the bill was overbroad and should include exceptions for journalists and researchers who have been to Iraq or Syria. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Pennington is reeling this hour from one of the biggest stories we've seen in decades.
That's right, Kathy. Mayor Sue Hallinan has stepped down following revelations of her involvement in a coupon forging scandal. After a week of fervent denials, Mayor Hallinan admitted that last Thursday she used 5 counterfeit coupons on her weekly shopping trip to the Kroger for a savings totaling $14.81.
Once you've made a fake coupon and you've had a taste of that power, it's hard to stop.
Mayor Hallinan also apologized for her first response to the controversy when she blamed Jared the Paperboy for stealing her coupons and replacing them with the fakes.
I don't know what to say. She could have ruined my career. I hope she goes to jail forever.
And in what many are saying is the ultimate indignity, Mayor Hallinan's photo has been put up on the Kroger's so-called banishment wall, in between such undesirables as the Fredericks boy and infamous gum thief, Mr. Ivins.
This is the Onion News Network.
Years and has arguably become the world's most valuable currency, really shot up in price yesterday. It went in like an hour's time from like $400 all the way up to $415. And it seemed to coincide.
I've got it from $390 to $420.
You might be right about that. It seemed to coincide with the news about the creator, the mysterious creator of Bitcoin, who has been known heretofore as Satoshi Nakamoto, but no one really knows who that is. It seemed to coincide with the news